some other failed idea he had, apparently, Luke. It's like, that great album, Who's Next by The Who. It started off as a rock opera, and they're like, man, this sucks. Let's just make rock, right? But right now, Luke, in particular, you can go to the sweatshirt section of morningcombat.store. How about the brand new Bone-In Factory Town MMA sweatshirt? It's one of our best designs. And Luke, you hear that bone in the title. If you've got a big, well, first of all, let me search it. But second of all, if you're that type of guy, you should be wearing this type of sweatshirt, okay? Because only big ones allowed, Luke, in Factory Town MMA. You know that.
I don't think that's what it means. I think it's a reference to wings.
I heard it both ways, Luke, okay? All right, come on. I mean, you know where we're going here.
Either way, just buy it. We don't pocket any of the money, but it's good for the show. So there you go. All right, I also want to remind folks, AG1. AG1 is really where it's at, BC, and especially since you're going to be on the road on Friday. I know you're probably going to have some of your travel packs with you in your luggage when you go down to the land that time forgot, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy, right? They make it so easy at Athletic Greens. Look, I'm not only the AG Club president here with these ad reads, I'm also a client, and I mean that. Why? Because it's one scoop a day of this magic green dust, and I start my day the proper way, feeling clean, feeling healthy, that mild tropical taste. And it's like, what do I get from this? How about 75 high-quality vitamins? How about that? Yeah, how about minerals? So easy, right? How about whole food sourced superfoods? How about probiotics, adaptogens? How about you can start making the adaptations you need to really get out of liver death hell or whatever else you're fighting here? Because, look, we're all old and washed at the end of the day. We're all fighting the good fight. AG1 is like having a bodyguard, right? Like Matt Dillon in that movie that time, My Bodyguard.
I don't think I've seen that, but I do know that AG1 is lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. Contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, while still tasting good.
Yeah, and if you've got a cold brew habit, you're already used to spending a certain amount of dollar per day. How about less than $3 a day to take control? It's a small micro habit with big benefits. It helps you take the right step forward. And, I know you think, well, what am I going to do? Trust the guy with the bad liver? How about you trust those 7,000 people who have tried it, they liked it, and they told people about it with a 5-star review? Oh, yeah, maybe 2 names that you know pretty well, right? Leading health experts. Yeah, I'm talking about Tim Ferriss, Michael Gervais, Joe Rogan, maybe even Dr. Mike, Luke. He's going to be boxing on the Jake Paul pay-per-view next week against Chris Avila. Good old Dr. Mike. I bet you he knows a little bit about the AG1.
I bet he does. And right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. Just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. You saw BC do it there. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health.
And look, I'm not committed to anything besides like my wife and anything else. I just, I give up quickly. But AG1, I'm here for the long haul, and they're here with me. And you can be here with both of us. Here's what you have to do. Go to athleticgreens.com/morning combat. And with your first purchase today, here's what you're going to get. Those 5 free travel packs, which are a lifesaver. And then the 1-year supply of the immune-supporting vitamin D drops. Not a bad deal, Luke. Get your hands on that package.
Again, athleticgreens.com/morning combat to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right. There we have it. BC, let's kick things off. UFC 280 is just days away at this point, and we want to get you ready. Let's start with that main event. Charles Oliveira takes on Islam Makhachev for the UFC lightweight title. Technically vacant, although we kind of all lean in the direction that Charles should be champ. Now, BC, before I throw you the first question about the matchup, we don't have breaking news exactly, but Charles Oliveira did say something at this morning's, their media day, over in Abu Dhabi, namely that what he wants to do is after he beats Islam in his mind, he wants to defend the title against Volkanovski in Brazil, and then subsequent to that, fight Volkanovski again for the 145-pound title in Australia. Is he getting a little too big for his britches, or do you love the confidence?
No, I love that, and that's about what he's about. Excuse me, and that's why this transformation here in the second half of his career has been so startling, been so impressive with the win streak. And also the finishes, record-breaking finishes, and it's that mentality. I mean, you watch the countdown show, which, by the way, Luke, they used like a second of my voice in that countdown show. I was like, Aljo shouldn't be the champion, but that was it.
I didn't see the countdown show. Did they put me in it? Are they?
No,
Are they also run by the people who run MMA fighting?
But look, what the countdown show showed you perfectly, and you already know his story, is this guy's just so hungry. So look, I don't want to go too much further from that, because attached with that breaking news you mentioned was Dana White confirming a couple days back two things. One, that the winner of the Jan O'Malley fight, no matter who it is going to get the next title shot at bantamweight. We can get into that. But specifically, yes, the rumors are true. Not only is Volkanovski the backup for Saturday's main event, he's also getting the next crack, no matter what happens, at that lightweight title. So I got to get your reaction to that first, because it's one thing for Volkanovski to want to do this, even though he's the pound-for-pound king and champion already, and take the same chance Charles just said he's willing to take. But now the UFC's publicly saying, oh, yeah, he gets it next. Is this the right move? I know you're a big, CKB guy. This is, a potential fight, no disrespect to Makhachev, but a potential fight between Charles and Alex for the belt and maybe a 2-fight series is a wild idea. That's a fan Super Bowl right there.
Yeah, let's be very careful about getting ahead of ourselves here. The MMA gods have their own plans, and they may or may not intersect with all of ours. What I would say is, it's a tough one, right? Because there's two really good ways, I think, of looking at it. One is that, here's on the side that makes sense of the call, which is that Volkanovski is not just your 145-pound champion. He doesn't really have any clear contender at the moment. Yes, you could sort of say El Pantera. What's his name? My brain is not working anymore.
That guy, Rodriguez, Yair.
Yeah, Yair Rodriguez, excuse me, I apologize. You could say that certainly he should be next in line, but I don't know if people are screaming for that fight necessarily. It's a good one, don't get me wrong. I'd be happy to see it.
It's a very good one.
There's nothing wrong with it, but the fans aren't beating down the door to make that one happen necessarily. And on the other side of it, I suppose you could also argue that, look, we're talking about the number one guy in the sport. We're talking about the best fighter alive, who, yes, there are some guys he could be fighting 145, but if you've elevated yourself to being a pound for pound, not just a great, but the number one guy, yeah, you maybe should be getting a title shot at 155 pounds, especially since he's 33, I believe. So the time is kind of now to make some of these moves. On the other side, BC, lightweight is in this. We've talked about it on the show with Chuck, the pregame preview for UFC 280, where we're having this old guard, new guard kind of moment, and it's not happening all at once. It's this slow kind of uneven takeover, and so it's creating some matchmaking issues. But you would imagine there would be somebody else they could really give this to, in particular if Dariush wins or something else like that. I just feel like it may not be necessarily what is best for the other contenders, either 145 and especially 155, but it's probably one of the better fights you could make in the sport, and you got the number one pound-for-pound guy in it.
It's a
that
dream
alone
fight.
is probably reason to do it, right?
Dude, it's a freaking dream fight. And by the way, if Makhachev wins and then he fights his Volkanovski, that's also a freaking killer fight. But you know what you wanted to say without saying it there, Luke, is, hey, Volkanovski, instead of fighting the poor man's Chuck Oliveira, and that's, of course, right now Yair Rodriguez, fight the real one. And, if we get to that point, good Lord. And I don't
know if I would agree that Yair Rodriguez is a poor man's Charles Oliveira. I don't think that's quite right.
I didn't say dirt poor, Luke. I just mean he's like, look, there's similarities, all right? But
they're not that similar, really, no.
Well, they're both coming on, and they're aggressive, and they hit an early, not a rut, but, I guess you could say Charles hit a rut. I don't know about Yair. He had a couple of missteps. Neither here nor there, Luke. What is here is this main event. I think this adds to the stakes, knowing that the winner's going to get Volkanovski. And Luke, we beat this point down on the pregame preview, but it's the fan in me can't do anything but scream it. This fight, the main event for the vacant lightweight championship, dude, it is such an amazing clash of styles. The X's and O's, the tech side of me, Luke, that is either not there or doesn't show up a lot at MK, is so damn fired up for this game. What a fight, Luke! Come on, get all nerdy on me. Penetrate some Dick Man stats through the screen. Tell me something about this fight.
All right. Well, I guess I have a few I want to get to. Let me start with the odds. As it stands today, Charles Oliveira at a plus 160, Islam Makhachev at a minus 190. Now, BC, here's where I want to start this conversation, is on these odds and then the larger picture that's being painted. I hear a lot of accusations that the MMA media has kind of just, anointed Makhachev as the next champion, and they aren't giving Oliveira his credit and acknowledging what he has accomplished. I don't think that assessment is altogether wrong, and I also don't think it's quite... There's a little something to it that's somewhat overstated. But here's the point I want to make. If you look at the resume at 155 of Charles Oliveira, it's matter-of-factly better than Islam's. Like, there's no debate there. I'm sorry. Wins and finishes over Poirier. Wins and finishes over Justin Gaethje.
Yeah,
over
but nobody's
Michael
debating
Chandler.
that, Luke.
Okay,
Nobody's
hold
actually
on.
debating that, though.
So
Okay?
here's my question to you. Is the reason why Makhachev is favored in this contest is because while Oliveira has so many offensive tools, he is a little bit, actually, I would say much more offensively vulnerable, and a guy like Makhachev is very defensively sound, that one knockout loss early in his career notwithstanding.
I'll tell you why. It's a hashtag. It's two words that come together, Luke. You may have heard it. It's catching on these days. It's called Holy Hammer. And, hell, it's a joke, right? No, it's not a joke. In some ways, is Islam Makhachev getting the Khabib rub before he's fully earned it? Well, yeah. I mean, but in another sense, like, he would have fought all these guys, but, a lot of these names were either coming off of big losses on the highest level or in line to fight for the title. It just didn't pan out that way. Yet, what did he win? 11 in a row? So it's not like he just got plucked from, having won 3 of his last 4, and it's like, oh, is it too soon? I mean, the guy freaking earned it. Sometimes, and you saw that in Khabib's career a lot, things just don't go the way of luck in terms of the fights coming together. But what have we seen from him since that loss? Just absolute domination. So from a betting standpoint, is Makhachev getting the benefit of the doubt that he really might be, although not the same fighter, and, good luck if he could ever be as good, but he looks pretty damn good, a great fighter ready to take over what Khabib left behind, which was a dominant title reign. His title reign wasn't long because of circumstances, but damn, it was dominant. Okay, so you can sit here all day and take away from who Islam has not fought yet. But at the end of the day, I think whether he's fought those guys or not, his style is applicable to convince yourself in your mind that it really can be implemented against anyone, even someone as great as Charles Oliveira, who, under the radar has been working on his own wrestling game, and that may have been the key to shutting down Poirier in round 2 to set up the finish. And, you see in the Countdown show the training he's doing with absolute legit, that Iranian wrestler that I forgot his name off the top of my head, but Luke, if you're betting on, if you're taking him as the favorite here, you're betting on that Makhachev style. Like, those guys from Dagestan are motherfuckers, Luke. Their style is to come in there and completely take control of the fight, irregardless of what you're able to do. And obviously, Charles is a little bit different because he's the most dangerous finisher of all time, which only adds to the intrigue of, can Makhachev, if he gets the takedown, work from top position and be nasty within the threat of a next level submission guy. That's part of why this fight's so great. But even with, maybe he didn't get to fight all the guys you wanted to, and maybe you're not sure if he should be the betting favorite, not you specifically, but anybody in doubt, I think it's okay until we see that we're false here, until we see him lose, to let him ride the momentum of what have been going on lately. And that's Holy Hammer's coming in here and kicking the freaking door in. Luke, I believe, whether he wins or not on Saturday, that there is great potential here that he can dominate this fight and finish the former champion who's trying to regain the belt. Luke, he's that freaking good, so we can get past this talk of, like, did he deserve it, blah, blah, blah. He's the betting favorite, dude, okay? And it's for a reason. He's coming the hell on. He's coming on, Luke. All right, you know this.
Fair enough. By the way, irregardless, not a word. Just so that the audience knows that.
On this show it is, Luke, okay? You know what I'm saying?
Is irregardless the official word of the show?
I mean, if they don't like it, they can kiss our ass, Luke, okay? You better believe
Fair
that.
enough. Now, you asked for some numbers. Let's talk about some of these numbers. These are the ones that really stand out to me. Charles Oliveira, by the way, not a combination striker. When you watch him strike, and this is going to sound a little bit like I'm exaggerating it. Again, I have to clarify. I don't mean this in every sense of the description. But, John Jones, when he strikes, BC, he has what I call single strike high variance. He's not a combination striker either. You might see 2, at most 3 punches or 3 strikes in a combo, but it's pretty rare. Usually he just throws 1 at a time. But the reason why he gets away with it is because A, he's got a significant reach, B, his timing is excellent, and C, his ability to not throw any pattern makes him very, very hard to read, right? So if he throws up high with the left, he'll go down low with the right, and then up high with the right, and then to the middle. And if it's a hooking punch, then it's a linear punch. He's very good about changing that up. Charles Oliveira is like that a lot. He has a different way of striking and a different manner of his stance and everything else. But that kind of idea where he's kind of single pot shotting you and then using that as a way to set up the rest of his offense, That's really what he does. So he lands 3.53 strikes per minute, which is good, not great. It's a fine number. He eats a lot of damage, 3.18 strikes per minute. So he has a positive differential, but it's not very high. Compare that with Islam Makhachev, BC. Now he has a very low, I would argue, strikes landed per minute, just 2.27. That's not high at all. That's actually very much on the low side, especially for a highly ranked fighter. On the other hand, BC, this is the one that stands out to me. Strikes absorbed per minute, 0.84. 0.84. That is insanely low. They cannot hardly land a glove on this dude. And I know, of course, he has that previous stoppage loss. Okay, since then is what we're talking about. Dude, they can't make contact with him at all. How do you feel like they're going to match up in this particular way? Is Islam going to be so far out he doesn't really want to engage, and then he'll just get real close when he has to? Or do you think this will be any kind of pronounced striking battle?
Well, I don't think he can just be far out. And, I mean, could he find success shooting from the outside? At some points, yes. But look, I believe he's going to have to get it in the fire to really have his greatest success, which will come in the physicality, the forcing of the clinch, and any method he can or wants to bring the fight to the ground. Obviously, then that ignites whether Oliveira can be as dangerous on his back and provide that threat that might force the fight to its feet. But he's going to have to pass 10. I guess the point of what I'm saying is Islam to win this fight. Although the idea is to come in and be completely dominant, for the most part, Khabib did that. Once he got a hold of you, once he started taking you down, it's just downhill from there. I think we know Charles is too good and too dangerous to yield that type of loss. Is it possible? Is it in play? Well, yeah, Makhachev's the favorite. But I think there's going to, not only will he have to be in the light of fire because Oliveira can leap in from the outside as good as anybody and disguise strikes and really take some daring but crazy smart chances and go for it. I also think he's going to need to close that distance to have his greatest success at the type of physical domination that he's looking to do, Luke. And, I see this, Luke, I don't know if I necessarily see it in the crystal ball or see it in the excitement of all the combinations going through my brain of what this could or might look like. I'm certainly thinking the idea here is that Makhachev has multiple rounds where he has Oliveira on the ground and is controlling for a lot of it. But I also can see him getting dropped here. Like, there's going to be moments when he's going to have to prove just how good his striking is. And not even all the way from an offensive standpoint, although obviously that's the intention. Even from the full defensive standpoint and being able to make those adjustments short of taking him down, he does have a lot to show us. And that's what happens when you have such a one-sided run, which is what Makhachev has had. We haven't really seen him have to, in high-stress situations, make those adjustments. But I'm here to tell you, Luke, he's born for this. He's wired for this. I mean, look, in these hype packages, when they play that audio of DC saying, I've been in the gym and no one dominates Khabib on the ground. Well, this guy did in practice many times, like, that full-on accreditation as the next guy. Do you believe that? Do you believe Khabib has trouble with this guy? Because if he has, this guy's winning the championship on Saturday.
I never know what to make of these claims because, again, I'm going to remind folks in the training room, you will see in the course of a year in the training room, you will see your very best guy in the room get his ass beat a few times. Like, it will happen. There are times when the very best guy, depending on what he's trying, it's not working. He has an off day, it's not working. Like, you will see that. So is it possible that certainly through the course of training, Islam has had days where he's whooped up on Khabib? I don't have any doubt that that's true. That's the nature of training. That wouldn't be scandalous or, frankly, even really all that unusual. The question is, could he do it with regularity? That's a very, very different kind of conversation. And I don't know the answer to that. I want to go back to some of these stats, if I can, staying with the striking, BC, because I have a theory I want to run by you to see what you think. Striking defense, by the way, for Charles Oliveira, 52%, which is fine. It's pretty good. For Islam Makhachev, 68%. That is very high. 70% defense and striking. It's very unheard of to see someone this high level with that kind of AR. He hasn't faced the elite guys, truly, but this further along in his career have a number like that. But here's what I was thinking about. If you look at the kind of takedowns, I don't imagine that, Oliveira will shoot a double. He can shoot doubles. It happens. He usually does it off the opponent's cross. But I don't think that's what really is going to happen. He tends to like that body lock space. And that works really well because if he can't find the body lock, he then switches over just sort of to a Muay Thai clinch. I think there's a good chance that Islam could neutralize that, especially if he's quick and has really rehearsed what he wants to do, where if he can find himself in that space, rather than allowing a guy like Islam to, put up the tie plum and then begin to work, control it with a tight waist and then find his way around it, which would eliminate a lot of that sort of intermediate, offense that he tends to provide and then lead to the takedowns themselves. And we can get to that in just a minute. But I really think that, by the way, for takedowns, so that's clear to folks, you can get folks who can shoot way from the outside and get it, but there's a reason why people don't. As a general rule, for folks who may not know, as a general rule, you should be able to reach out and touch the other person. That's how far you need to be before a good takedown to happen. Any further than that, your chances of succeeding at it go way down from there. Okay.
You also can get aspirin, Luke. Okay.
You can get aspirin as well. That is something that can happen. So I just feel like he's going to have to be on the outside for a while, but then to your point, he's definitely going to have to get to the inside. And I feel like we're going to see pressure against the fence, takedowns off the body locks, and then after that, BC, is where it gets a little weird for me. And that's the part I just don't really know, because from straight up guard, any guy is hard to submit. And if you look at the tape, certainly against Chandler, it didn't work. From guard, it didn't really work. Against Poirier, from guard, it didn't really work. Even against Kevin Lee, from guard, it didn't really work. It's the other things that he does, the back attacks like he did against Gaethje and then Poirier eventually, and what he does on the ground, BC, what Oliveira does on the ground is what he tries to do is he goes for a triangle up top at first, not to really get it, but to control posture, destabilize someone, make them move, and then he goes to leg entanglements, De La Riva guards, De La Riva varieties from there to either capture the back, to slow them down, disrupt their base. And the question for me is, what does Islam do if that begins to happen? Because then you're playing catch-up with Oliveira. What he's going to have to do is find his way to the back or straight up into guard itself along the fence line. And that, to me, as you well understood, would be far easier said than done.
That's the game. That's the game within the game. That is where this fight's going to be won or lost.
Agreed.
True or false?
I agree.
So here's the question. Then I wanted to ask it in a more broader sense. You cut right to the macro in a lot of ways, but or the micro. I don't know. You cut somewhere, Luke. You cut. It cuts like a knife. You know what I mean? Maybe you cut the cheese.
But it feels so right. And
yeah,
I also
for sure.
might have cut the cheese as well.
Is this? I don't think the debate should be can Islam take him down consistently? I think he will. Okay. The real question is, can Charles threaten enough with the submission to force Islam away from his best case scenario when he's on top? I mean, Luke, I think that's when the comparison to Khabib, to me, is most true. I mean, he's dominant on top. He's nasty. He's violent. He cuts sharp angles. He makes aggressive moves. It's almost Khabib-like. Maybe they're not the exact same in how they sort of do the crazy chain moves, Luke, and stay stuck to you. But, I mean, when he gets you in a vulnerable position, he takes the fuck care of you. I mean, he'll beat your ass, okay? Will Charles be able to scare him enough to stay in a comfortable spot on his back where he can then, can Charles' submission not be on an accident or not be in response to a mistake, but will he be able to can it be calculated to Charles' submission game, meaning he's not sitting there taking big shots? Can he do enough to dissuade Islam from doing exactly what he does as good as anyone in this game?
I definitely feel like he can tie up Islam, and then again, we're talking about a guy who doesn't have a lot of ground and pound. Now, when he really wants to unload, he can. But again, he doesn't throw a ton of strikes per minute. He's not very active in that way. This fight could go a while, man. It's really interesting to see. I tend to think if you're Charles Oliveira, your best hope is any kind of clinch break, and then rocking him, and then obviously from there getting an advantageous position, because otherwise he's just not going to make that mistake to give up his back. If you're Islam, the question is, you obviously want the takedown. How do you want to get it? That's really the issue. Do you want a double leg and then put him flat on his back? You're going to have to fight off his guard, which, again, you can do flat from guard. Oliveira is certainly not a chump, but he doesn't, it's just, I cannot overstate to you, like if you just watch the world championships in jiu-jitsu, you just hardly ever see someone get submitted from guard. It just doesn't happen at that kind of a level. And so you can do other things with it. And so the question is, what sort of takedown strategy does Islam get and pursue? How much can he maintain that? And honestly, that's really the hard part. I think it's from the body lock where he's going to have to get it, or he's going to have to do the kind of thing that Oliveira and Sterling are good at, BC, which is look like you're going for a takedown, but then just set up back exposure. I think that really is going to be the test. Who can more easily and readily create back exposure? Because I think you would agree with this. If Islam gets Oliveira's back, he's in deep shit. And conversely, if the opposite happens, where the Brazilian gets Islam's back, he's in trouble there. These guys are both suffocating with control. I would obviously argue that from the back, Oliveira is better with submissions. I think that's probably true. But I really think it's going to come down to the takedown strategy and the place which he finds his takedowns for Makhachev.
Oh, I love it. I love imagining what this is going to be like. Luke, when it turns into a sustained striking battle for any length of time, for, you know, I mean, you're going to start each round that way, but you get my point here. What's more likely that Islam will show us now that he's on the brightest, highest level against the most dangerous guy? Is it more likely that Islam striking will let you down and he'll end up having to use it basically to try to set up the takedowns? Or is there how strong is the possibility, similar to how it looked like Khabib striking made a leap in the Conor fight? I mean, suddenly he was knocking him down with shots he didn't see coming. Is it more likely that Islam, improves upon what we've seen against a higher level opponent, or naturally maybe against that threat kind of doesn't show us much there with the hands?
The thing is this, like, as a striker, Oliveira is just way better. Just way better. Way better. Not just from his boxing, but the ranges at which he can compete. Obviously, he can go far outside. He's got devastating leg kicks. Doesn't use them a whole lot, but he harasses with them big time, especially early in fights. Loves it when guys catch their kicks, too, by the way, is another thing. He has that jumping switch knee, that jumping switch kick, which he landed on Lentz and Lee and a bunch of guys. I think he did it on Justin Gaethje a lot as well, to push people back. So I just think what Islam's going to do is try and avoid most of that. I don't really think he wants to play any of that game, because the longer he plays it, I think in general it goes poorly for him. But here's the other side of that equation, BC. This is the part about Charles Oliveira kind of that people love as well, why he's so entertaining. This fucking guy gets hit a lot. He gets hit a lot, dude. He gets rocked all the time. Now, I don't know if Islam is the guy to take advantage of that. So here's what I'm going to say. If it turns into that prolonged striking battle for whatever reason, Oliveira should still win. But it's not like, it's never a slam dunk case with him by virtue of some of those vulnerabilities. Again, I just don't think it's going to come to that, man. I really don't. I think Islam's the question also we haven't even discussed is who's going to pressure the other guy? Who's going to be the one moving into it? Because as we've seen, Islam will kind of take a bit of a step back and then over the course of time begin to pressure. Dude, right out the gate. I'm not saying he comes out like Chimaev, but you know this, Oliveira comes out hot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he loves to flash the threat early to see how you respond. And then, as we've talked about, when he feels there's even a chance he can finish you, he's going to go for it. It makes the fights crazy. It gets him hurt. But, he's been on a hell of a run that I still question whether, how many times can you get into wars against guys this good? But obviously, some of that is dependent, like those we've just been talking about, if Islam's striking can make a leap here and can go to the next level. And look, when you watch him against the inferior level of competition. I mean, when he lands that left cross, which was sharp and on the money to knock out Gleison Tibau with one punch, I get the difference in competition. Is he going to be able to get that strike off and make that a threat against Oliveira?
I don't know. It should be pointed out, Oliveira 74-inch reach, Islam Makhachev 70. Now, Oliveira does have a good jab. You wouldn't really call him a jabber. Right, that's just not what he does for prolonged
periods. I bet he could.
Periods.
I bet he could if he wanted to make that change in his game.
You think he jabs this time around?
I think he could be more of a boxer, but I don't know. I think this ties into what I mentioned earlier, and I did want to bring up again. Luke, are you aware that he hired this special multi-champion Iranian wrestling coach? The guy's name is Ali Reza Noai.
I am vaguely aware of it. Why?
Well, and on the Countdown show, Noai mentioned that he went and lived and trained at Dagestan, and the big quote that comes out of here is, I've wrestled against guys better than Khabib and Islam and beaten them. It's a lot of machismo here, Luke, but can that make a big difference when you consider that just 2 fights ago it did look like Oliveira's wrestling made a leap, or at least in his intention to use it. I mean, look, he was nasty covering up Poirier's mouth. I mean, he was just all over him and mauling him. And while I don't expect him to have huge offensive wrestling success in this specific matchup, how much can time with a coach with this level of experience allow him to just take what he's already building on and take it to the next level?
I mean, the point is, for me, is that, like, it's very helpful, but it doesn't radically change things. Like, it just can't. Like, he's, 33 now? I think Oliveira, maybe 34, something like that.
32, I think. Yeah.
Well, he just had a birthday this week.
Oh, then he just turned 33, yeah.
Yeah, so he's the fresh 33, which is still prime, obviously. But the point I wanted to make was, like, to get the full benefit of training with a guy like that, you got to be doing that for a long time. It doesn't happen right away. Now, I do think he could probably pick up a few things specific to certain forms of engagement with Makhachev that could prove beneficial. Certain ways to hand fight, certain things that they like to look for, blah, blah, blah. But over the course of time, I mean, just look at the numbers here. Takedown accuracy for Charles Oliveira, 40%. That's a little bit not a real way to measure it by virtue of the fact that some of those takedown opportunities are just things he's looking for to set up, like the clinch or a choke. But just keep that as it may. Be that as it may. Takedown defense, 57% is just low. It's just low. That's low for a champion level fighter. It's low. Conversely, Islam Makhachev, takedown accuracy, 65%. That is very high. 2 of 3 is fucking high. And then takedown defense, 88%. 88%. By the way, in terms of takedowns attempted, Oliveira 2.46 per 15 minutes. Islam Makhachev 3.41.
Yeah.
Submission attempts 2.9 by Oliveira. Again, some of those are half-hearted ones. And then Makhachev 1.2. Dude, Makhachev doesn't have the names on the resume, but the numbers that he produces are fucking ironclad. They're not super dynamic offensively, but there's just not a lot of weakness to what he shows as well.
All right, then specifically about what I had asked you, what do you think Charles Oliveira is specifically focusing on in the advancement of his wrestling here to best help him in this matchup?
So here's what I think where this could prove beneficial, right? The Russians have their own style of wrestling. The famous Russian tie is when you have 2-on-1 with 2 hands on 1 arm. It's just sort of an example. Not Habib uses a little bit, Islam uses a little bit. I don't mean to bring it up as like that's the thing that they're going to be focusing on, but having familiarity with some of the things that they try, particularly from Sambo, would be important. Here's something that folks should understand. One of the things that, like, judo has wrestling and trips, and wrestling has wrestling and trips, but they focus on the different things different ways and in different proportions. They have different setups for it, but they all tend to have, like, there's a double leg in judo. It's called the Marote Gari. You can do it. They've since banned it in international competition, but these systems all kind of have the similar answers. One of the things that Sambo stands out for, at least in MMA purposes, is that these guys are very good about going for leg attacks, single legs, off balancing, that kind of a thing, and then switching to trips or throws from there, oftentimes from overhooks, not necessarily from underhooks, and it's weaving back and forth. They try to throw you one way, you balance, they trip you back the next way, and it's not the same as going from a double leg to a single leg to a fireman's carry, which is all in the same kind of family of attacks. They're switching families of attacks while they switch directions. That's a big thing, especially along the fence line. If I was Oliveira, I would want to have a clear sense of that, which, by the way, he likes body locks. He likes body lock trips. He likes those takedowns, but he's probably not going to be as good in that scenario as Islam. So knowing the kinds of chains that Islam is going to attempt, like, what's Charles Oliveira really good at? Not just in jiu-jitsu, although especially there, but in striking as well. He attacks the transition. He doesn't wait to get to a position before he starts attacking. He attacks it through the transition itself. If I know by training with this coach that if I have my foot here and we're locked up in this way, he's going to go for the trip there. If that fails, he's going to go for the whatever, the other direction. If I can understand what the chain of attacks are going to be, that means I can get my offense ready to attack the transitions between them. That is where it could be hugely beneficial. But just overall ability in those areas, 1, 2, 3 camps is really not going to be enough to make up the difference.
Okay, I'm with you on that one. Damn, this has got me.
How long does this one go? Let me read you average fight time. This is average fight time. Charles Oliveira, 6 minutes, 55 seconds, so about 7 minutes. Islam Makhachev, 9 minutes and 11 seconds. So he takes his time a little bit longer. I think this one goes, I think other part about Oliveira is this. You know, he's like, oh my God, he put away Chandler, he put away Poirier, he put away Gaethje. Right. and then the Oliveira one, the Poirier one, and then the Kevin Lee one went into the third, but then finished off pretty quickly within there. I think if you're Islam, take this guy late. This is a guy who's hittable, who comes out with a lot of fury, who I don't think is necessarily going to gas in that way, but will be a lot less offensively potent the longer. Simple question: the longer this fight goes, who does that favor? Who's it favor?
It favors Makhachev. And what is interesting is most of Charles' fights in this recent insanely amazing run, and the competition seems to keep escalating that he's doing this against, is it doesn't go late because he doesn't want to wait around and find the answer. He puts himself in crazy situations and oftentimes absorbs the best punch of the opponent and then is able to figure out a way to recuperate and then finish himself. And he gets these guys going through all the emotions and then gets them out of there. Makhachev has the perfect offensive attack to stretch this thing out and make it a completely different type of rhythm to where Oliveira is going to have to find late answers. Because look, I still think this one has, greater potential than any of the recent Oliveira fights to potentially go late, but I don't think it's going the distance. So if if there's any good over-under bet you can play with here, we're still going to get a stoppage, but I do like the spirit of what you're saying, where I think it's more likely to come late third or fourth. And Luke, I think I'm here to tell you that I got this, hammer bin behind me, this cabinet, Luke, the largest one right now. The handle says Islam on it. Makhachev is coming on, Luke.
All right,
and I'm telling
is this your official pick?
I'm telling you right now, bet the under, number one, and number two, you're going to be surprised. Makhachev was going to have to take something on the chin a few times because that's what happens against Oliveira. I'm not saying he's going to shine our face off with his striking, but what he does great, even against the great Charles Oliveira, he's going to have an opportunity to do that. And you just brought up the idea of, because Oliveira takes big chances and he's got all these early finishes, is there a potential where could get exposed late? Again, I don't think he's going to fall apart. I just think this is the wrong opponent, if this happens, if we go into the fourth round, to be against a guy whose sole intention is to take you down, drain your gas tank, and make you less dangerous. I think he's going to do what he does, meaning Islam Makhachev, and that's going to lead to his strikes landing better late and him getting a rear naked choke finish to win the championship. And it's in play, Luke. It's not only in play. The betting oddsmen are telling you it's most likely that it's going to go this way. Now, you can debate all you want whether it's a finish or a decision, but I think we're going to see Makhachev do what he does. I don't think he's Habib, but I actually don't think he's that crazy far away from that, okay? Yeah, he's got to prove it, dude. He's got a lot to prove to us. But as that stock looks right now in terms of its value, I'm telling you he's coming on, okay? What do I know, right? Well, I'm on a good run myself right now, Luke, okay? And you can't deny that, okay? And it started with Woodley Till.
I'm not sure how good the run is, but I certainly agree with you here. I actually feel like Makhachev is going to win, and I've done a lot of tape study on both. I mean, the thing is this. Oliveira has just beaten better guys, matter-of-factly. And I'm going to say this as well. Oliveira isn't just more well-rounded. He's just got way better offense in the totality of things. But the problem is, in the one area where he doesn't have, perfect offense, certainly would be, obviously wrestling. And then in the grappling, he's very strong. But what he really relies on is he relies on making guys make mistakes. And he relies on kind of putting pressure on them to force them out of position or into bad spots. That's just really, really hard to do against Makhachev. I'm going to lean towards Makhachev here. Obviously, Oliveira winning, he would make us all eat crow. We would talk about how wrong and how stupid we are on Monday, which I'm happy to do. But I agree with you, BC. You're talking about a guy in Makhachev who, again, at this later stage in his career, just doesn't make a lot of errors. Very defensively sound. I don't necessarily know. I think Makhachev is going to try and make it not exciting, which means Oliveira might take even more risk. We'll see how it goes. Certainly Oliveira is capable of winning, and again, much better resume. There's simply no denying. But that defensive soundness of Makhachev, to me, is the big difference.
Exactly. And here's something not to forget about Oliveira, who you also obviously can't forget that he's taken big chances and almost got stopped by Chandler. And, I mean, look, he's there. You can only do that so often. But this
Poirier dropped him, too.
Yep, and this will be his. No, he dropped Gaethje. Actually, that was the flip side. But here's the deal here. This is 30.
Gaethje dropped. Well, he went. Yes, but go ahead.
This will be his 32nd UFC walk. That's tied for 9th all time. He's been through this. He's had multiple eras of his career already, and to his credit, he found the magic formula, and it's insane what he's doing. But Luke, when somebody does this, and everyone's situation is different, but when somebody does this, which is figure it out and also find that lightning in a bottle of momentum. Think McGregor 2014, 15, 16, and think Jorge Masvidal in 2019. Again, everybody's different for different reasons and their age. Glover Teixeira was on a crazy run recently, but eventually you can't keep that up. You just can't. And it's not just how hard the sport is and how close the margin of error is, but you can't keep that up and keep that going and not get it on you once in a while. And he's not going to turn old in this fight, Charles Oliveira, under any circumstance. And he's very, if you believe in him by finish, his history has told you that's also a very good bet, just the same. But when it's over, and remember Masvidal, like when the magic stopped. Now he was older at the time, but it's over, Luke. When that magic stops, this is the perfect type of trap for that magic to get stopped for good. You know exactly what I'm saying, okay?
I know what you're saying. All right, let's talk about the co-main event here. Topic number 2, Aljamain Sterling, your reigning UFC bantamweight champion, taking on TJ Dillashaw. Again, BC, we start with the odds, a very similar line, -175 for the champ, and Sterling +150 for Dillashaw. BC, what will define who wins this bout?
It's crazy, right? Because Aljo just went through this. He just convinced us that he's not, the guy everybody was painting him to be after he, won by DQ and it wasn't his fault the way that went, and posed him with the belt, and, we all turned on him for a year, right? And then he reminded us how great he still is, right? I mean, he's amazing. But you're either going to believe in TJ Dillashaw's chances or not. But if you are a believer in it, Luke, it was one thing he loves to talk about himself. I mean, look, he loves playing the cocky villain because he is. That's who he is. But, something he talks about is, my wrestling's better. Okay, we can argue on that too. But also, I just think at the end of the day, I'm tougher and more willing to go to that level and go to that place and do it. Again, if you play that as a not just being braggadocious talk of a conceited guy, but who's also a badass, yes, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're completely disrespecting Aljo. Luke, he's already proven time and again, TJ Dillashaw, that he's willing to do whatever it takes. In that spirit, even though it can get you in trouble, and he got caught. And do I think that's the only time he ever used? Probably not, okay? You hear a lot of people make accusations about him. I mean, yeah, definitely not. But that's all part of who he actually is at the day. That's why at 36, he's able to not only come back from the 2-year suspension, where he didn't lose his belt, go through a hellacious fight with Corey Sandhagen, where in the first round he effed up his knee, and find a way to alter a strategy and win that fight, and then miss another full year, and then come in looking like a freaking alien. Do we have this picture, Long Island Luke, to throw up, not to vomit, but to throw up on the screen here, of TJ Dillashaw during fight week here, shredded to heck and back.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so I'm not doing this casual thing where I'm like, oh my God, you see how ripped he is? Everybody, he's gonna win. I'm just telling you that if this fight becomes a fight and not, and if Aljo's not able to instill the plan A and control it, really like he did against Peter Yan in the second fight and give him a lot of credit, and this does become that, well, that's where TJ Dillashaw still got it. That's where he's still really dangerous. That's why he's getting the respect on this line. Even though he's the underdog, it's a respectful underdog spot. Luke, if this can become that war that we know TJ can do, even with the age and everything that's happened to him, he's still always got a great gas tank. He's willing, look at the 2 Garbrandt fights. He's willing to get in there and get dirty with you. I think the biggest thing, or the X factor or thing to look for me, is if TJ can take this fight late and make it a fight. I like his chances here, Luke. I like his chances. And he can get subbed too, but I don't think Aljo's going to have the control over him on the ground that he's had over other opponents. And whose striking do you like better over 5 rounds? I don't think I'm believing in a version of TJ that's not coming through that door. Luke, this guy's a motherfucker. He's coming. Look, this guy will do whatever it takes to be great, and you know that. Him winning a third title in this division, even with all the doping stuff, is not out of the question here, Luke. I'm not saying he's Barry Bonds, but sometimes when people are great, no matter what happened to them, you got to recognize that they're great. People love saying Dom Cruz is the greatest bantamweight of all time, but even if you take resume out of it, this is the prototype. This is the best bantamweight we've ever seen, and he still got it, Luke. But it's an if he can take it there and not succumb to what Aljo does great, you know, which is a lot of things right now, Luke. So let's give him the pound-for-pound respect he deserves.
To me, it's a great assessment, but to me, what I think really will define whether or not he wins will be just to what extent what kind of striking choices in terms of distance and stance he elects to use, one, in conjunction with what kind of takedown defense he employs. Why do I say this? If the fight was just a boxing or kickboxing match, who would you favor, right? You'd probably favor TJ Dillashaw. I just think he's much better on those pure terms. Aljo's got a jab and he can stick and move. We've seen it. And by the way, can go the distance as well. But just on pure striking terms, I just feel like the creativity and the weaponry, I should say, is much deadlier on Dillashaw's side. So that's what he's got going for him. But the problem is, and you saw this against Jan. Jan's a better striker too. It just didn't really matter against Sterling, by virtue of what he was able to do. What do I say this for? What we've talked about a lot with Sterling is that he is looking for back exposure. And you see this a lot with the Jan fight. But part of the way he's able to create back exposure is not just by going for a single leg, picking him up and then dropping him and then getting outside of his elbows, which is what he did a couple of times, but it was other stuff too. One of the ways in which Jan was trying to get away so what you're going to see from Sterling almost certainly is he loves single leg attacks. Not to just run the pipe there in the middle, but to grab it and then run them into the fence and then do something else from there. Sometimes he can get a wrestling takedown like a double leg from there, sometimes not, but it's the single leg pickup. That's what you're looking for. So you have to decide which leg do you want to put forward if you're TJ Dillashaw based on what you've seen on the tape and what Sterling likes. That's the first part. The second part is what you saw from Jan was Jan did the correct thing, typically speaking, to get out of one of these takedowns from the single leg, which was to turn away, pump the leg, and then bring it out. But what Sterling would do is grab it, hold on to it, and just raise it, which would cause a scramble. It would force a guy like Jan to his hands, and then he could find the back immediately. So when I bring this all up, BC, it's to say Dillashaw and his team have to have an answer for the single leg, or he doesn't readily give away back exposure. Because I think if he does, Sterling can't miss. Sterling is so good at backpacking, holding it, and then winning rounds that way. Sometimes he can finish from there, obviously, against Corey Sandhagen. I do think he's got better jiu-jitsu, and I do think in terms of that specific kind of attack, he's very, very good for it. Dillashaw has to stop that before it starts and not give into it. That will define his stance, that will define his striking choices, and it will define how he defends the single leg. If he gets any of those pieces wrong, he can't win.
No, you're deep in the chess pieces there, and you explain that perfunctorily, if that's even a word as well. But
perfunctory means like unnecessary or worthless.
Oh, wow. Well, maybe I'll stick with that definition then, Luke. Okay, I'm there for that too. I want to ask you, big success for Aljo was being able to take Jan down and scare him there. How do you compare the takedown defense of TJ Dillashaw to Petr Yan, who Jan was a guy who I thought had no holes, and then I saw Aljo beat him straight up.
Okay, so here's the thing. Jan did what he typically does. He defended takedowns in a way that he normally does. He didn't get out of anything that was, like, you saw from Jan the same types of attempts anyway that you commonly see no matter what. The problem was that wasn't going to be a good strategy against Sterling, which he found out the second time the hard way. You can see him here. What do you see Sterling doing? Look on the screen. You saw it just a second ago. Single leg pickups. Dude, if Dillashaw's team is worth a shit, and they are, they're very good, they have to know that Jan, I think, got caught up in the first fight where it wasn't as big of a feature that he was dealing with some of those things. The second time around, now that you've seen it, you know that if you do anything where he's able to maintain control of an ankle and elevate it or force your hands to the mat in some kind of a way, you're in trouble. You have to down block in front of him before you give any kind of angle or turn or anything like that. Jan was turning and then giving away his back, thinking he could just use his standard defense, which is nothing wrong with that defense in 99% of cases. It was just the absolute wrong defense against this guy. Dillashaw now has the benefit of seeing that and coming up with strategies to get around it. The question is, will he be able to? Because again, I think if Aljo finds his back, it's a wrap. I really believe that.
Luke, you know, my romanticized speech about what I believe Dillashaw still has and why I think people tend to look too much at the controversy and not realize the heart and you know, perseverity behind him. Just like I said in the Charles Oliveira explanation of, you know, it's going to catch up to you eventually. Like, is it too hero worshiping here to expect or believe that TJ can stay on this level? I mean, are we overlooking what the effects of another year off and a major knee injury can say about his movement, which is obviously going to have to be a huge part of his success here? Like if you heard a casual like me come out and give you an impassioned cry about why you know, TJ's going to win this, what's the counter jab to that? I mean, how realistic is it that he can keep doing this, come back and look freaking amazing?
Well, he'll be 37 in February, which for bantamweight is very, very old. But he's, of course, 36 now. I think... Okay, so you want me to, like, how does Dillashaw do it? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I guess, do you have any concerns? Like, it's not... Okay, there's a way he loses this if Aljo out-strategizes him, you know, and gets it done. But is there any concern that we're not getting, that there's any chance that we're, you know, we're asking him to keep coming back from a lot of time off and major injuries, this double shoulder surgery, the knee reconstruction, all that stuff?
So what I would say is, for me, yeah, I mean, listen to this. He wasn't really active before. He fought 3 times in 2016. Okay, that's a lot. Once in 2017, once in 2018, once in 2019. Then he had the 2 years off. And 2021, like since 2017, he's been just not active hardly at all, even not counting the USADA suspension. But for me, BC, like, what's the best argument for Dillashaw? Dude, Dillashaw was, okay, so let's say 2017, 2018, right, when he was just lumping up Garbrandt. What would you say about him? My argument about him at that time would be he was ahead of the game. He had a set of skills which made him very unpredictable, especially in the striking department, that most of his bantamweight contemporaries at the time simply had no answer for. He had an advanced game. Now, I think the game has slightly caught up. Obviously, actually, I think it's caught up a lot since then. But the point being is, he had a head start in certain ways. He had a head start by virtue of his vast technical development. So, I still think his game, even if the rest of the division has caught up to a degree in terms of best practices, is what I mean, not that they're all the same level as TJ Dillashaw, is that he does still have a really keen eye and game that can be very unpredictable. I think that's what he has to do. I think he has to have unusual angles. I think his timing needs to give Aljo problems. Aljo has to second guess. If he at all has confidence that he just can time it right, grab the ankle, run him to the fence, and then after that do his magic, well then, you know, I don't really know what Dillashaw can do for 5 rounds to beat that. That seems too much. But by virtue of his footwork and his placement and his unpredictability and his feinting and he is a combination striker as well, by the way. I think that could be big. Leg kicking, we haven't even talked about that. I think leg kicking could be kind of interesting, although Aljo likes to catch kicks, so you got to be careful about that as well. I think that's the one big thing. You kind of know Sterling doesn't have like Sterling's kind of got one way to win. He does have good striking, but it's not lethal. TJ has lethal striking backed by a certain degree of creativity and unpredictability. He has to force that on the decision making of a guy like Aljo, and if he does that, he's off to the races and he's going to hoist that belt on Saturday.
Yeah, and backed by, you know, a really good chin, an incredible will to win, a high gas tank, so he's bringing a lot here. But Aljo, I mean, just did a clinic in a way. I mean, I know the fight was a split decision, and there are truthers out there on the Jan side I didn't agree with, but I mean, Aljo made a leap in that fight in a lot of ways, and obviously it was further amplified that he was coming off the DQ loss and shut a lot of people up. Okay, there's one way to. Luke Thomas said there's in the end one way for him to win. How does he make a plan B win if things aren't going his way?
Dillashaw?
No, Aljo.
Ooh. Don't know.
I mean, it's obviously the threat of the submission is always there. You know, it's not impossible that his striking could hurt TJ, Is it as likely? I don't know. You know, I mean, what is that plan B for Aljo that may need to be there in the end?
Honestly, if he can't get the strike, if he can't really meaningfully take Dillashaw down or find the back or something, one of those ways in which wrestling on his terms is how the fight looks.
Huawei Nova 10 Series, cadre perfecte din orice unghi.
I don't think he can win. I don't. You just what other tool would he have? That is, it's a limited portion of the game, right? The benefit to that is that he's gotten really good within that space. He's gotten exceptionally good in that space. The problem is outside of it's the same. Like for example, you could make an argument about Khabib. Like what happens if the takedown fails, right? What's Khabib gonna do? Not much. Not much. I mean, yeah, I know he beat up on Ali Quinta in a weird fight on last minute notice, but in general, like, striking is not what's going to win him. The reason he got around it is because that shit was so overwhelming. His contemporaries couldn't do anything about it. Is Aljo on that kind of level? I guess we're going to find out on Saturday, but like, is there a real good plan B that's even, like, close to a plan A for Sterling? You know, Ray Longo's a very smart guy. I'd love to see it, but I certainly have my doubts.
Yeah, this is, damn, it's a great fight. Luke, this could main event any pay-per-view. I'm willing to buy with my own money. I mean, what a great fight. But Luke, it's prediction time, though. Okay,
it is prediction time. You go first.
I'm sorry. I have been a TJ guy from day one, a Dillashaw guy, and I'm shocked that he's still got it at this level. But the thing is, as long as the layoff and the knee injury and the shoulders and everything else, as long as, you know, his body doesn't take him out of it in any way, he has a particular set of skills that's well-rounded and lethal enough across the board where Aljo could have trouble getting that plan A into effect. I like TJ Dillashaw, Luke, and I'm not going to be overly, I mean, I'm not going to be overly surprised if he gets a stoppage on the feet as well, Luke. I think, you know, we know he's always going to be coming on and he's going to give himself the best chance to win and put it all in. I mean, you know, for all the truthers that Sandhagen should have won, and look, it was a close fight. It could have gone either way. Flip it. Dillashaw did that on one leg, Luke. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, my biggest fear for him in some ways is injury or a cut or something like that could hold him back. If it's 100% versus 100%, he's going to win this championship for a third time, whether we're ready to accept that or not. I mean, this guy's that good. Okay, so hit me up afterwards when he loses, and you can, you know, at B Campbell on Twitter, please drop those bombs if necessary. But for my money, this is the bet, Luke, and I hope now, you know, TJ and Aljo are not betting, Luke, because it's illegal per Hunter Campbell.
Yeah,
all
we'll
right?
talk about that. We'll talk about that in a bit. By the way, just for the record, how old is Aljamain Sterling? He's 33, so it's not like he's as old. BC, listen. I thought Jan was going to get it done against Sterling, and he didn't. And I just said if Sterling's A game doesn't work, his B game is just not nearly as good. It's not nothing, but it's not going to be enough, I think, to power him to victory. But the problem for me is I was so wrong about him. I was so wrong about him in that Jan fight. I can't do it twice. I just can't. I listen, these odds, you could make a very good case for Oliveira, for Makhachev, for Dillashaw, for Sterling. It's not very difficult to do. But in having been wrong about Sterling and then having to reflect on that, I would not like to compound my errors. And I do think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be close. Probably, you know, split decision type territory, to be quite honest with you. But I think Sterling's going to have enough to get it done. We don't. I don't know. I don't know. But
hey, make no mistake. Make no mistake about this. If Sterling, as the betting favorite here, wins this, you know, he better be in your top, you know, 4 pound for pound. I mean, like, you know, you take away that DQ fight. And I know it's hard to take away the idea that he looked like he was on his way to defeat, but come on, Leon Edwards, you never freaking know. He's on a hell of a run himself. He's been getting better fight by fight. I'd love to be wrong on the idea that Aljo isn't going to come out and take it to another level, because, Luke, I give him so much respect for the run he's been on. Part of what makes this fight so great. Can't wait to see what it looks like Saturday.
Yeah. I mean, again, if you throw away the first Jan fight because it was just inconclusive, I think is the best way you could put that. Still, he would have consecutive wins over, at that point, Sandhagen, second Jan fight, and then if it happens on Saturday, Dillashaw. Shit, bro. Dude,
and he subbed Sandhagen in like a minute, too. We can't forget that part of it.
Dude, that is like a murderer's row of fights if he can get through it. So We shall see. All right, BC, how about maybe the funnest fight on this fucking card, to be quite honest with you? We stay in the bantamweight division. Petr Yan, the former champion who's lost his belt to Aljamain Sterling, takes on Sean O'Malley. This is a #1 contender versus, at the time it was made anyway, a number 13 ranked contender. BC, what is the best case argument for Sean O'Malley? Tell me how Sean O'Malley wins.
That although he hasn't been able to show it yet, some of his doing, some of his bad luck, some of his 2-year USADA suspension, right? He never quite got the full arc the way it's normally done. So there's still inconclusive evidence of him losing to Marlon Vera. You know, it's not a fluke. I mean, he lost by TKO, injury. But it doesn't tell the full story. Neither does coming back against a consistent stretch of competition that wasn't overly great. And, you know, we know what was going on with his contract, and now they've, re-signed him, and he's going to get paid for the opportunity to be a star. And if he does, he's going to get paid a lot more than that. But we don't know. And when we don't know, we can get mad at times and say a guy doesn't deserve it. And I mean, Dana White just confirmed the winner of this is getting the title shot. We pretty much knew anyway that was going to happen, because you can't deny a star like O'Malley when that momentum's coming. The best case scenario in saying that it's possible here is he's a dynamic striker. That's the greatest weapon I would want for him in a fight against, Petr Yan, who has so little holes. If any, right? Yeah, the back-to-back losses there against Aljo, but is just as good as it gets. And I know both sides said they asked for the fight. Well, the fans have to be happy for it. It's a #1 contender fight. But if Sean O'Malley has that magic, that's why. So look, I want to stay here. People are saying the best way to describe this fight is it's kind of Aldo versus McGregor, UFC 194. Do you buy that? Because I think that best explains the argument of why and how I think Sean O'Malley has the opportunity to potentially win this fight by stoppage without showing us everything he has and teaching us everything he's got. Maybe it's not as likely, and that's where you can use your betting money how you believe. But if he's going to win, Luke, I do believe it'll end up being kind of the poor man's Aldo McGregor. Am I crazy here? I mean, that's what it is, Luke.
I guess I just don't even really understand the Aldo McGregor argument.
The idea that he might not actually be better than Petr Yan, and he may not actually be as good as the hype ever says he will be, but that doesn't mean there's not an opportunity for him to win it. That doesn't mean he's armed with the ability to do so. And if he is better than we think he actually is, and he looks pretty damn good, right? You get that momentum and that magic. Sometimes moments happen. That explains to some degree McGregor Aldo. I think that's not an incorrect comparison if O'Malley wins and does it with a shot Yan doesn't see coming in a stoppage.
Yes, that in that way I could understand it. I get the sort of idea that Yan would come charging out of the gate. I think it's possible, but highly unlikely. And
I'm not saying 10 seconds, Luke. I'm not saying a 12-second repeat. It could be 2.5 rounds. But the point is, O'Malley doesn't have to be better than him to win this. So he is a very live dog here, in my opinion, Luke, because there is an element of, the star power leaps off of him. Now, is that star power just colorful tats and hair? Obviously, we believe he can strike. I think there's some magic to him, meaning that there's a ceiling that we don't fully understand where it is yet. Okay, the Marlon Vera fight has to be mentioned. We learned certain things there. It was not a good look. I didn't love his reaction afterwards. But I haven't. Do you think you've seen a hiccup in his game? I mean, I guess you have to then talk about the Pedro Munoz fight, right? Did you see enough negative things in there to give you pause? Again, I felt like it was weirdly inconclusive.
It was also weirdly inconclusive. I watched it again this morning. Pedro Munoz, for folks who can't remember, he was mirroring the same side stance. So if for example, if O'Malley went righty, he would go righty. If O'Malley went southpaw, he would go southpaw. So he could have that outside leg kick to batter. Sean O'Malley checked a bunch of them. Some of them got through, obviously. And I think most people had Munoz winning the first round, and then we never really got out of the second, and then it was the disaster that it was. What do you really draw from that? O'Malley was offensively muted in that fight by the distance that Munoz was covering, and those leg kicks that they weren't like, some of them were landing hard, some of them weren't, but it just kept O'Malley a little occupied, I think is the way I would put it, or just minimized in terms of what he could really get going. He was cooking up a little bit more with his punching in the second round. Some stuff was starting to get through before the eye poke happened, and then that was that. So, again, like people are like, well, do we have a clear sense of O'Malley's upside? We don't. We don't have. It seems like it could be a lot. Do we have a clear sense of his vulnerabilities? Even that's a little murky, BC, because we're not exactly sure how much of that is the Vera fight was just a moment in time
or
sure. something that you can scale. The thing for me is, I like this is the one question I would have for the case for O'Malley, which is, who is the best dogged wrestler that O'Malley has faced? Top of your head.
Atunci când contează, suntem lângă tine. Allianz Siriac.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
If you look at the guys he's fought, the vast majority, the overwhelming majority, are just A, strikers more generally, and B, guys that just wanted to strike it out with him.
But wasn't that the same narrative that McGregor faced heading into the Aldo fight? Because to some degree, the Chad Mendes win was inconclusive because of the short camp, to some degree.
Yeah, and then also McGregor had like injuries and had to have a weird strategy and stuff like that. So there's something to be said for that. The difference is that Aldo had lights out takedown defense, but he didn't have lights out takedowns. Petr Yan has very good takedowns, very good ability to find them, very good ability to have good ground and pound to hold people down. If I'm Yan, I'm testing the fuck out of that big time.
Oh, I'm kicking him in the calves and shins like it's going out of style. I'll kick him in the toe, Luke. I'll kick him anywhere. Okay, I'm just kicking him.
The kicking, I think, has to be part as well. You couldn't get away from it.
You need to be. Yan's as brutal as anyone in this game. And you need to be physical and brutal to make sure that you can't just break. Like we don't know. We don't know who O'Malley is. He may be brittle at the end of the day. We don't know. You got to find that out early if you're Yan.
Right, exactly. I think you do have to test that part as well. But if I'm Yan, I'm going to look for takedowns, and I'm going to look for any kind of ground and pound where I can punish him, especially to the body, knees to the ribs. If you can do it, hard leg kicks if they can happen as well. But I want to put blood in his arms. I want to make him slow down because listen, just think about it logically, right, BC? If O'Malley is at distance and he's dancing and he's feinting, and his feinting is excellent, by the way, very good at it, right? If he's doing that, that's a tough guy to beat. But if you can wrap up with him, at least force him to the ground, heavy ground and pound at times, certainly in transition, damaging the body, really kind of going forward, making him wrestle, making him work on those terms. Dude, that's just a very different kind of fight that, frankly, yes, there's a lot unknown about O'Malley, but the fact that we haven't seen him pass a kind of test like that makes me feel like that would be difficult as well. Now, the tape does show, look at the numbers here, takedown defense, 64% for Sean O'Malley, takedown accuracy, 50%. Those are fine numbers, especially for a guy who prefers to strike anyway. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's not against anyone who's a really sincere, dynamic takedown threat. Well, hello, Yan is. If I'm Yan, I'm leaning into that all the way. By the way, takedown defense for Yan, 90%. Takedown accuracy, 61%. That is high, very high.
This is a great fight, and it's a great fight because of what we don't know. Obviously, it's like, damn. I mean, this is such a big fight for Yan that I think is somewhat going understated too. I mean, the 2 straight losses, and he could stay as dangerous the rest of his career, but he could also lose this and never be back to where he was. The magic could be gone for him in terms of peaking and finding the very best of him. He has a lot to prove that he can come back and make those adjustments and be that gritty. It's certainly in him. I mean, look, that's why it's such a hard fight to bet, because there's so many more reasons to like Yan, and it goes beyond even what we haven't seen of O'Malley. Just O'Malley might be, I mean, again, that's why those McGregor comparisons kind of just easily stick in a weird way, because, is he more well-rounded than a Conor McGregor? Well, maybe, but, he's still heavy into what he does great and doesn't, take on too much other stuff. And yeah, there are questions and concerns. Did Munoz disarm him too easily, or if that was a 5-round fight, would O'Malley been able to keep the poise and still be as potent and dangerous and find his moment and deliver? He also could crumble before our eyes. It's hard to bet either way. And it's like, maybe this is what people hate about the show when they're a big Luke Thomas fan, because Luke's coming out with stats, facts, possible scenarios that he's seen before with his eyes. And old BC's over here talking about alchemy, Luke, and the cosmos coming together, and the moon, in the moon of Cancer, and can that make somebody the best they've ever been for 3 straight fights when the sun's shining on them? But Luke, whether you think that's just the way it goes or there's some higher power connected, sometimes people that are destined for greatness find a way to get there no matter what. And for McGregor, there was like magic in that. Tim Tebow that one year, there was magic in that. I just watched that Jeremy Lin doc, right? There was lightning in a bottle for about 3 weeks there, and Jeremy Lin was pouring it all over him, right? It was like when those old people found those alien eggs at the bottom of that pool in Cocoon, and suddenly they're doing windmill dunks, and they don't need Viagra anymore, Luke. It was insane. Do you believe Luke Thomas, at the end of the day, go get into the cosmos with me, Luke, okay? Tune in, drop out, all that stuff. That Sean O'Malley is destined to get there. Because if he is, he's going to win this fight, Luke. And it's going to go beyond your analysis about takedown defense percentage. You know what I'm saying? You know exactly what I'm saying. You just don't want to believe that he may be the chosen one, Luke, and you can throw your pick up and it doesn't matter anymore.
Well, I just, I can only introduce what are probable or possible outcomes. I can't introduce the totality of them, nor do I have a crystal ball to know exactly which one will, which makes any kind of analysis have to be hedged in that way. But I certainly don't believe in
overly romanticize
astrological nonsense, if that's what you mean. I don't believe in fate. I don't believe in destiny. I don't believe in any of that bullshit. There's total nonsense for people who are largely unthinking rubes. Anyway, to answer the question...
Look, you could argue that I was destined to get exactly where I am right now, and even Luke Thomas's darkness could not get in the way of that.
You worked hard to get here. You weren't destined for shit. You just made it happen. That's the difference. The point I wanted to make was, dude, like, is there a real possibility here, and not a bullshit one, that a guy like O'Malley, who has now at this point had inconclusive, I think your very appropriate term, moments that make getting a read hard to know, but quietly, and he's just getting better and better and better. He didn't get a fuller, clear sense of who he is. He arrives at this moment by hook or by crook, and then he just demolishes Jan. Yeah, absolutely. Is Jan deflated from his loss to Sterling, and is he second-guessing things? Certainly seems possible. Like, all these things are really real. MMA is fucking crazy. It is crazy and it's batshit. But I just don't believe in nonsense like destiny. I don't believe in nonsense like fate. What I believe is skills and opportunity. Sometimes just a little bit of serendipity along the way. And so not from the universe, just by how factors work out. And there are reasons to believe, very much so, that Sean O'Malley, you heard Dana White say, he could be a global superstar for us if he wins this bout. Like, holy shit, I don't think that's wrong at all. But
Luke, even serendipity needs some fuel to get there, Luke, and that's why I think the power, it was in Jared Cannonier's crystals until the Adesanya.
Yeah, was
it? It was until that fight. I think that All
right.
I think that right nipple, it was like the kryptonite for the crystal. You know what I mean? The saggy nip, and then there we go.
You mean Izzy's titty?
Wow, I didn't think we'd get this deep, and I thought you'd shut that shit right down.
Well,
but
didn't they call it Tittygate? Wasn't it called Tittygate?
Yeah. I hope it's not PED on titty, Luke. I hope not, okay?
Yes, of course not. It would ruin the fight. All right, BC, what do you think?
About this fight?
Give me a pick.
All right, I don't have the same confidence. I'd love to do the Dillashaw bit all over again, right? Or the, hey, I know Charles is great, but dude, Makhachev's coming on. I feel like this O'Malley thing is possible, Luke, and it would have to be part of what you're saying where Jan is just a little off. We don't know that. But O'Malley also has the type of surprising, striking that could rattle him, that could hurt him, that could change it into more fight or flight mode. And if Petr Yan goes too far into the fight part of that, he could get stopped here. He also could absolutely break down Sean O'Malley in every single category and nastily sit on top of him and beat him. That's also in play. But I do believe in miracles, Luke. I do believe in magic. I've seen and felt shit, Luke, that you would shake you to your core. I think Sean O'Malley's going to knock him out and win this.
Wow.
And it's not the fan in me. I'm not telling you to put your money there. I believe Dillashaw. Put your money on him. He's going to win this. There's no crystal ball telling me it, but sometimes, Luke, even real recognizes real sometimes, Luke, and I recognize that O'Malley's got a rocket ship of momentum. And again, that rocket ship, like Star Wars, is all dirty and shit, right? We don't know for sure. if he can clean it up completely. That Marlon Vera fight may be everything most people have needed to see, and they feel like they know who he is. I don't know if he's actually that dude, but he may win this fight without us actually finding that out, Luke. And if that happens, it will be a UFC 194 Aldo McGregor comparison. And that's the truth.
Listen, I take that possibility seriously. O'Malley has power. How big is the reach differential in this one? Let's see. O'Malley with a 72-inch reach, Jan with a 67. I mean, Jesus Christ. That's a lot, dude. That's a huge difference already for a guy who, you know, fights tall, too, in certain ways. Fast in-and-out movement. We've seen one-punch knockout power. And even against Howley and Paiva, it didn't knock him out with one shot, but one shot completely changed the equation, and he finished him off thereafter. Like, O'Malley knocking him out would not be surprising. And it's weird because I went with a guy with a less proven resume in the main event. Here I'm going to go with a guy with a more proven resume for that reason that it's more proven. I'm going to go with Jan. I just have too many questions about O'Malley at this stage, and I have too many answers about Jan at this stage. And there's good and there's bad, and this is a tight fight. Again, we go back to the odds. We currently have Jan at -265, O'Malley at +225. For a 1 versus a 13th ranked contender, that's fucking close. That's really close. But skills win fights, and we just know that Jan has more and is a little bit more, and particularly in the one area where O'Malley is against a guy who's got very good takedowns, somewhat untested. For me, I got to go with Jan on that one.
Donează acum puncte pentru plantarea copacilor în aplicația OMV MyStation.
All right, BC. For the rest of this main card, we have 2 more fights. We'll lump them both together here for topic number 4. We have Beneil Dariush taking on Mateusz Gamrot, and then, of course, Caitlin Chookagian taking on Manon Fiorot. Let's start with the first one. Dariush, at the time of this recording, about a +160. Gamrot at -190. Gamrot coming off that fucking amazing contest against Arman Tsarukyan. And Dariush, kind of the forgotten guy of this division, but a pretty good resume just the same. What is your sense about this matchup? Do you have a clear read on how this one's going to go?
You know, favoring things like momentum for sure. And, I mean, Gamrot feels like he can do a lot right now. That was a mature win he just had against Tsarukyan that really opened our eyes. But I wonder what the fallout for Dariush is, where, like, Luke, you know, he's on a heck of a run. No one ever talks about it. There was the idea coming in. He's given a spot on a pay-per-view card that's going to have so many eyeballs. It's a big deal. And the idea coming in was like, okay, well, what if he goes out there and knocks Gamrot out and, you know, grabs the microphone and, you know, maybe he can get the next title shot. Well, now that the company's like, well, no, no, bro, right? No. Does that deflate your balloon? I mean, Volkanovski just stole everything he's worked for, Luke. That makes you either come back from the reality show in Central America looking to baptize people, or sometimes that gets you, you know, an okay performance. And if you're okay against Gamrot, he's going to control the fight and win it. And if Dariush is not in the right focus, he sometimes can take big chances and take damage. You know, skill for skill, dude, he's certainly in this fight, but how much do you take into account all that other bullshit, Luke? Because, you know, Gamrot's solid. And if he can find a way to expose you, he's gonna play that note all night long.
I don't have a clear read on this fight at all. Now, they have a common opponent in Diego Ferreira, which Gamrot was able to stop inside of, I think, 2, and he went the distance. And the second time they went the distance with Dariush. So, you know, they both beat him, but what does that really tell you? The thing is this, it's like, if it stayed on the feet, I think Gamrot would lose. But Gamrot is, of course, going to go for the takedown, but there's 2 problems with that. 1, Dariush has, like, pretty good takedown defense. And then 2, let's say he gets it, because I do think he will eventually get a takedown. Like, Dariush's jiu-jitsu is real good. Like, it's real good. It's one of the most underrated parts of the game, as a matter of fact. His defense there as well is pretty strong. So it's like, I bet that Gamrot can get it, the takedown, but not easily. And then from there, do I think he can hold him down and, like, ground and pound him? I guess if Dariush elects to stay there, which he might, maybe he could, but I just don't think so. I just feel like Gamrot is a better athlete and probably a better wrestler, but I feel like Dariush just has more weapons. Does that sound reasonable to you?
I think that definitely sounds reasonable. You know what else sounds reasonable? Predicting that this fight will go the distance. I think it will, because Gamrot is very technical, and I wouldn't say safe, but like he's gonna find his lane, and he's gonna go after that, Luke. I think that Dariush is more dangerous, so you have to, he's either going to use what just happened, which feels like the door closing in front of him in terms of, the hope. You're saying there's a chance. No, there's no chance now. You're not getting the next title shot. So that's either going to drive him, Luke, to get attention anyway. And I think if it drives him the wrong way, this is the wrong fight for him. And maybe that's why he's the slight betting underdog, Dariush, coming in. I do agree that he is more dangerous. But can he put it together here, Luke? That's the question. Gamrot doesn't make a ton of mistakes. He doesn't give you a lot of chances. He's a little stingy, Luke. And that's a good thing.
It is, but I just don't know how many solid weapons he has. But here's the other problem too. It's like,
well, hold on. What if that weapon was just a jab and a takedown, Luke? What if that was the weapon, and then you go 3 rounds, and then he wins the fight?
Dude, what? I just don't buy that Dariush is just gonna lay around. That seems very unlikely. The numbers, they're relatively even. Surprisingly, Dariush gets hit less, although I think he walks into bigger things. The numbers for Dariush, 3.8 strikes landed per minute, absorbing 2.58. He has a positive differential. Gamrot also does, but barely. Lands 3.4 strikes per minute, but eats more at 3.19, although he has slightly better defense. I have to see how the numbers were calibrated. But this is the big difference we see. Takedowns per 15 minutes, right? Dariush, 2.11. Pretty good for fucking Gamrot. 4.83. 4.83 with a 90% defensive takedown rate. Man, that is overwhelming. If you shut off that spigot to the takedown, what does the rest of his game have? Not enough for Dariush, I don't think. And even if he gets it, I don't know how long he can maintain it. It's a winnable fight for Gamrot, to be very clear. It's a close one. It's really hard to get a beat on this one. But I just feel like his offense is a little bit more lopsided and somewhat limited.
If it's boring, Gamrot's going to win it. If it's a fun fight, Dariush will win it. There you go, Luke.
That's a fair way to put it. All right, and then Katlyn Chookagian taking on Manon Fiorot. Fiorot, by the way, a minus 205 favorite. I am very surprised to see it that high. Chookagian at plus 175. BC, you know what Manon Fiorot likes to do. She sticks and moves. The side kicks are a big part of her game. She does a lot more than that. She's constantly on the move. Do you think Chookagian's being overlooked here?
I don't, if you subscribe to how I kind of see it right now, which is Fiorot's just a better version of what Chookagian does, and she also is a little bit more dynamic. And that's a bad formula, in my opinion, for blonde fighter Luke, who I'm glad that she got the contract re-signing, because that would have been lame to see her go on another win streak and then, go sign somewhere else. Although if she was able to leverage to get more money, you would have understood why. But, I mean, she's as tough as this division can find consistently. But she's got to control you and fight on her terms for the most part to do that. I don't think you can put Fiorot in a box with that striking ability and expect Katlyn's footwork and jab to control and win this fight. I don't know yet how good Manon is. But so far, we Luke, right? I mean, us French, we're on the same wavelength, okay? Manon Fiorot and myself. I like her chances a lot here at doing exactly what the UFC hopes she will do in this placement, in this spot, which is to get us excited about the idea of her fighting Shevchenko, Luke, because you're not going to wait around long in the rankings here. If you got a shine on you, you're Jessica Eye with a 3-fight win streak. Well, I guess here we go, evil. Here we go, right, Luke? That's how it works here, okay? Manon's going to win this fight. You don't have a way to tell me any differently, Luke. It's not in you.
I mean, here's the thing. It's like for Fiorot's existing skill set, Chookagian is she's a tough fighter, but you would want to fight someone like that if you're Fiorot, not a dogged wrestler, not some kind of jiu-jitsu ace who can take the back or something. They both like to fight at distance, and at distance, Fiorot I think is a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more physical. By the way, look at the numbers. Again, different sample sizes by virtue of how longer Katlyn Chookagian's been in UFC, and she's got good numbers too. But for example, Chookagian 4.5 strikes landed per minute. Strikes absorbed, 4.26. Positive differential, but barely. For Fiorot, 6.6 strikes landed per minute, 2.52 absorbed, has a 70% defensive striking rate. Dude, those are great numbers. Those are really, really great numbers. I would be surprised, honestly, if it stays on the feet. If it stays on the feet, I would be surprised if Fiorello loses, to be quite candid.
I mean, Chookagian, let's give her credit. She can really take
Armenian
advantage.
flag there. See that?
Yes. Wait, what is the story with that, Luke?
Well, Chookagian is quite obviously an Armenian name, BC.
Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't obvious to me. I'm not doing a bit. It wasn't obvious. So that's why I asked with respect.
Okay, fair enough. As a general rule, not always obviously, but as a general rule, if you want to identify an Armenian person, the last 3 letters of their name will end in a YAN or an IAN. Parisian, Gamborian, Chookagian.
Notre Dame legend, Ara Parsagian, Luke?
Say again?
Ara Parsagian, the legendary Notre Dame football coach. Is he Armenian as well? He probably is.
I'm not entirely sure, but my mom's maiden name was Georgian, right? So that's a sort of a common way to identify Armenians.
All right. Thank you for that history lesson. I appreciate that. Shout out to my favorite Armenians, Luke, System of a Down.
Serge Tankian.
They're 5-star neo metal classic. What was the name of that record, Luke?
Toxicity?
Toxicity. No, yeah, it was. Yeah. Rick Rubin was just reliving the memories of that on the Joe Rogan podcast, Luke. So I
didn't hear. How was that episode?
I only saw that part, so I don't know. But yeah, I know they talked about pro wrestling. All right, somebody's asking me in the chat.
Great episode. Never heard it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Mikey, what about Cody? What about Cody?
Yeah,
CBS Sports' own Cody Odekirkian. Yes, the New Jersey's finest.
Odekirkian, another
one of our favorite Armenians.
Very obvious Armenian name. Yeah.
Along with, Anouk Makopian. Great guy. Have met him, actually, okay? Yep.
All right. Very good.
Karo Parsegian. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so look, what I was really saying was that Chookagian can expose you if you're incomplete or if you're an unfinished product.
Waiting for you.
I don't think Fiorello is either.
You can go check them.
I mean, she's not, completely well-rounded, but she's pretty dynamic in what she does. So that's a bad formula for Chookagian. So there's your main card, Luke. When are we going to break down this Sean Brady fight? Friday.
We'll talk more about the main card with our guest on Friday, and then we will also get to the rest of the stuff on the card, including the Sean Brady fight. So we'll see. All right, let's do some quick hitters here, BC. The UFC has issued bans on fighters gambling on their events. From a letter from Hunter Campbell to the fighters that says more than this. By the way, it's not just the fighters, it's other ones too, but let's just talk about the fighters. Quote, the UFC's contracted athletes are not exempt from these prohibitions, which state legislators and regulators have implemented for the purpose of maintaining the integrity of our sport in order to assist our athletes in understanding their obligations under the laws of the majority of states in which sports betting is permitted. And in further support of these integrity measures, UFC has incorporated a wagering prohibition into the UFC athlete conduct policy, expressly prohibiting athletes from wagering on any UFC match. Now, what they did say was, if you have some kind of gambling sponsor, like a FanDuel or some shit like that, you can keep it. But what you cannot do is then personally make bets on fights related, any kind of UFC fights. By the way, you could still do like Bellator fights. I would imagine you could still do ONE or PFL. So you don't have to stop sports gambling or even MMA gambling altogether, but UFC fighters can't gamble on UFC fights. BC, what do you make of this?
I mean, while we can just as easily file it into, the corporate overlords, once again, Darth Vadering the poor, peasants on Tatooine, it's also a really smart move for the company, you know what I mean? To, prevent that level of impropriety or just, fighters having the inside access of being teammates of other famous fighters and all that stuff. Yeah, Luke, it's just why you can't win a contest if your, aunt works for the company, right? I mean, it's not crazy here, Luke.
Here's the thing. I actually do think it's a good idea that UFC fighters should not be gambling on UFC fights. I
mean, I look at it just more, you're just protecting somebody taking money to lose, right? You're just really putting a protection in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's more cover your ass because, again, what's the enforcement mechanism? How would they really know if someone was doing that? There would be no way to know. There'd be ways, but, in general, they could easily do it in secret without it being detected. And they wanted something on the books that prohibited this. James Krause, I think, told Ariel Helwani that, he doesn't make much from his coaching. He makes all of his money from gambling. It's
yeah,
okay, we'll see what happens there. But here's the two parts about it. It's they put it on the athlete code of conduct policy, which they don't enforce fucking at all. So, you know, they added it to that. It's like, what does that mean? Probably nothing, to be quite honest with you. And then the other part is, of course, like just with the stroke of the pen, they can take away more money from UFC athletes. Again, I think the UFC made the right call here, but it's the fact that they have this kind of power to unilaterally do this. And also, BC, you know, I don't think this by itself changes the debate. When you're looking at what the difference is between an independent contractor and an employee, the rule is that there have to be like a suite of things and creating a composite picture that tells it. It's not a clear checklist, you know, 1 to 5.
Yeah.
So what I would say is this doesn't change the debate by itself. But again, however hard it was to make the argument that, oh, these guys are definitely not employees. Well, now you're telling them they can't gamble on the events. Now it's even a little bit harder than it was before. So that line continues to get blurred a little.
Now it's time to put the dental plan in that with that, right, Luke?
Lisa
You know,
needs
let's be fair.
braces.
Yeah, I mean, for real. I mean, look, they're still going to bet anyway, but you just have somebody else put the bet in for you, which, you know, people are always, no matter what, but it's not about that. It's just about if there was ever a major scandal. Well, hey, we got it in our rules. You know what I'm saying, Luke? That's what it is.
All right. How about this one? Dana White has gotten into slap fighting. He got the commission in Nevada, who is just a shameless group of zeros, to regulate it. It will debut in late 2022. They're looking for a major broadcast partner. You might be like, oh, ESPN would never touch that. I'm like, ESPN airs cornhole. Like, I don't think slap fighting is that far away.
What's that outdoor game with the little mini trampoline and you bounce the ball off it? They got world championships on there of that, too.
Is that slam ball? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never played it. I never played that pole with the string that has a ball on the end and it goes around it a million times. I mean, this is like when you really...
Tetherball?
Yeah, like if you were ever, like, you know, I was born in 1978. If you were playing tetherball in the 80s or 90s, it just meant you didn't have a good cable package or good video games, Luke, all
Yeah,
right?
it means
know
you
what I
didn't
mean?
have friends, you lonely
Yeah, it means you were an
bitch.
absolute loser. I mean, you know, if you,
All right.
Yeah.
By the way, but here's the name of this league. First of all, it's called Dana White's Power Slap League.
Dude, this
First
is
of all,
so stupid.
I know. First of all, can we just drop the Dana White? Like, you know, I know you're doing the whole bit like it's the Contender Series again, but like no one calls it Dana White's Contender. It's just fucking Contender Series. Also, the Dana White Power Slap League. I mean, could you have picked a better name than that one? But okay, BC.
So what do you want to call them? The PSL instead? The Power Slap League. Yeah.
That's what they're called. It's called the Power Slap League. It's all
If
the
they
brain
call
damage.
themselves the PSL, nobody would care. So it's got to be Dana White's Power
Yeah,
Slap.
right. I'm sure that'll make all the difference. BC, how interested are you in brain damage and no skill?
It's weird. Like, are you surprised knowing Dana's character? Well, no, but I am surprised because, like, look, I had to suspend a certain level of like low rent feelings to watch BKFC, and there are parts about BKFC that I think are, you know, just gnarly and carnival and absurd. But part of those same carnival reasons are the reason why I stay with it and watch it, Luke. But, you know, the slap league to me, you know, with no even chance of blocking or anything. It's just it's daring somebody to put their tongue against the frozen, you know, light pole in A Christmas Story. It's like, to me, it's so stupid that, yeah, I'm actually surprised Dana White at this level of, you know, where he's at would care this much and want this. But, you know, Luke, he's you know, it's in his DNA, Luke. It's in all of our DNA, actually. We're all fighters. But when it comes to fighting, this is the bottom of the fucking food chain, in my opinion, Luke. This is the lamest absolute bullshit. And, you know, I'm not doing this as revenge or a 4-minute video. You can't, like, this sucks. But, Luke, you know, Vince McMahon had to waste a lot of money on a football league twice. I guess Dana's got to do it here, too. Or maybe this works and people want this, but
Well,
not
if
me,
you're
Luke.
wondering what happened to Zuffa Boxing, he was like, I don't know, the industry's too messed up. It's like, you know, here's code for those athletes have protections and rights that make industry domination very, very difficult to achieve. But this one, I don't think it could be as big as boxing, but it's certainly wide open from an unregulated standpoint. You could very much see why they didn't want to go into boxing and why they went into something like this. The other part, too, is like, dude, you know, Dana White, listen, the guy wanted to have Limp Bizkit, I think it was at UFC 100 for like the Fan Fest. You know, would you accuse him
Just
of having
one
the
of them
best taste on
days!
earth?
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Well, that STEM song is still playing, Luke, okay?
I mean, you know, the guy likes Nubs things. What do you want me to tell you?
So, Luke, here's the deal. The other Vince McMahon famous dropping of the ball, do you remember in the early 90s he launched the World Bodybuilding League, or Federation, or the WBF, or whatever the hell it was called, Luke?
Vince McMahon did?
Yes, and he put a lot of money into it, and he tried to take bodybuilding but jazz it up so each bodybuilder would have a routine. It was like a music video. They come out and do the full routine and dance, and there'd be props, and then they'd pose like crazy, and they're juiced to the gills, and McMahon's doing this like homoerotic commentary on it. And he signed Lex Luger away from WCW just to put him in that tournament to try to get wrestling fans to watch it. I do feel this has World Bodybuilding Federation vibes to me, where like Dana's like, oh, UFC fans will love this, but I don't know, Luke. I mean, he put some money in whiskey, right? Right?
Howler Head. I've not had it.
So,
I'm going to guess it's not very good, but
this is no different.
I've not had it.
This is no different than like, investing in your brother-in-law's bar because you have money now to help him out, right? I mean, it's that low rent, but
Dude, they're going to hold events at the Apex. They're going to have some events at the Apex starting in again late 2022.
Will these events air in the metaverse with Zuck, Luke? At Zuck? No.
The whole league should just be guys taking turns slapping Zuckerberg.
This is Zucking stupid. No, you cannot tell me, Luke. Give me okay. I could just be a Dana White hater here at the moment here, but I think this is lame as shit. What percentage of MMA UFC fans are going to move over and give this a try and are like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, man. I mean, am I way out of my depth here? Is this like a Jan 6er Super Bowl? What's going to happen with this slap shit, Luke?
If you have watched Duck Dynasty unironically and or bought an NFT, boy, do I have a product for you. Yeah. Boy, do I have a product for you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, did you lose your ass in crypto, and also do you like terrible shit? I've got just the sport for you to love. Don't worry.
I mean, what's your honest opinion, Luke? Separate from any jokes, what's your honest opinion of this purchase? I mean, what the hell are we doing?
I mean, it's his money. He can do what he wants. It's his facility. Like, it might make some money. I don't know. I don't know how big the market is for slap fighting. I just find it to be like, like the flotsam and jetsam of TikTok feeds. It's like, oh, what the fuck are these guys in Russia doing? Fuck that shit,
Yeah.
That's the most consideration I've given to it.
Well, you know what killed the World Bodybuilding Federation is the steroid trial for McMahon broke right after that thing launched, and it just kind of swallowed it up and killed it. But it would have died anyway. Maybe something will swallow up and kill this like it did Zuffa boxing, Luke, okay?
We'll see. All right, last but not least, Jessica Andrade is going to take on Lauren Murphy for UFC 283 BC. Flyweight fight, 125 pounds. We were wondering how this was all going to shake out here. We think there might be something happening for Grasso, who just won, although we don't know exactly. We just talked about Fiorot and Chookagian. Maybe the winner there, especially if it's Fiorot, gets a title shot. But I don't know, BC. Is Andrade versus Murphy, especially if Andrade wins, another sort of semi-number one contender fight? Like, what is the stake here?
I thought we're surprised by this, right? Didn't we think Andrade was going to 115? Going back down?
Yes, we did. But
that was our thought process,
right?
Let
me double check the weight on this, just so I could be sure.
I need to know a few things. What was her last fight? Who was that against?
Who?
Andrade.
Andrade fought. I forgot now. Hold on. It's a flyweight fight. Yep, it's a flyweight fight. That's interesting. Huh? I'm surprised by that. And Jessica Andrade is. It wasn't the Amanda Lemos fight, was it?
Yeah, it was. She submitted Amanda Lemos after stopping Calvillo. So that was a strawweight fight. So this is again. All right, Luke. She's
the Lemos fight. Yeah.
I wonder if. I thought there was some talk about her going back down, but either way, she is a contender in both divisions in many ways. But this is the shorter path to the top. Yeah, if she comes out here and beats a Lauren Murphy, who outside of Shevchenko, you don't really handle Lauren Murphy. You don't put it on her, and she's rebounded from her title loss and is still a player right here. It's a good ass fight, but I think Andrade has a chance to make some noise. Look, the title picture's getting cloudier, and that's a good thing, Luke, at 125. You're damn right. And if we can, Luke, find some magic and heal Tatiana Suarez, then this division could get even better.
It's weird though. Obviously, she lost to Shevchenko. Andrade did all the way back in 2021 via crucifix in round 2. It's like, okay, this might be the second time, and we know Murphy recently lost as well. So would the winner of this one fight Grasso? Is that how this would go? If
I don't think there's any scenario where Andrade gets the next title shot, even with a thunderous knockout. I think that's what the Ferro fight is trying to tell us here. Although obviously I don't think Chookagian would get it either. But if we believe Ferro is going to win, then there's going to have to be another win for Jessica because she did fight for the title somewhat recently, which is why we thought she was going to 115. But her against Grasso would be a pretty damn good fight too. Damn right. Why? I mean, she's got to win this one first, yes. Luke. And again, you don't dominate Lauren Murphy. In fact, look, how much are we? I mean, we're not previewing the fight today, but like, does Lauren Murphy have the well-rounded, stingy game herself to kind of neutralize an Andrade? It'll be interesting.
It will be. It's a great fight. I love it. So that'll be UFC 283. All right, BC. I want to remind everyone, we're going to make it some sports betting. Speaking of sports betting, we're not UFC fighters. We're good to go. And UFC 280 is here. You can, of course, get closer to the Octagon with the DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. Right now, BC, here's how it works. New customers can bet $5 on UFC 280 and get $200 in free bets if your fighter wins. What a deal, right?
Dude, no, seriously, you can bet big sums on here. I like to bet low, Luke. I'm talking about like stingy 10, 15 cent bets. You can last a long time off of $20, let alone 200 here. So this is saying, hey, come enjoy. The water's fine. And Luke, UFC 280 could not be a better spot if you're new to this to kickstart it. There are so many great fights. We just broke them down. We shared our opinions. I like Islam Makhachev over Charles Oliveira in that main event, but it's going to be wild and crazy. Man, I like TJ Dillashaw and O'Malley. These are some wild BC picks, but if you disagree, head on over, download that DraftKings app today. Like we mentioned, bet $5 on UFC 280. You got 200 to play with. A lot of parlays you can put together right there, Luke. So yeah, I'm excited for the people. I'm excited for the people here, all right?
Right, so BC let you know what to do. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code COMBAT. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it on the screen there. Throw down $5 on UFC 280, and you'll get $200 in free bets if your fighter wins. That's the code COMBAT this Saturday. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official betting partner of the UFC. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. There we go. DK, MK, time for fan subs, BC.
Yes, this is what we do on Wednesdays. We have you, the fan, usually create some weird artwork or like buy one of our merch and shamelessly like show us how you fit into a medium. But you send it to morningcombat@gmail.com. Mikey, our producer, decides if it's too racy and ridiculous. And then Wednesday, it's time for fan submission.
Viewers.
We've got mail.
Viewers.
Yeah, mostly male viewers. Couple really nice wives out there, Luke. A couple warriors. How about snarky red ginger, Luke? But she only likes one of us.
Well, what can I do, BC?
Because she's so snarky. Why do you have to be so snarky all the time, right? Like, they're the worst, right? All right, let's start here from Taylor. Good day, Brian and Luke and the wider MK team. Here's a photo of myself repping the best damn combat sports podcast in the world at the recent Haney-Kambosos fight in Melbourne. I wasn't a huge boxing fan before watching MK, but now I've had a sip from the boxing fountain.
Nice.
And it's pretty bloody great. Wow. I bet watch out. You could have blood in your urine there. Next time you're down this way, maybe for UFC 284 in Perth, let's get on the margaritas and get as plastered as Luke at an MK live show. Keep up the great work. It's Taylor. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Right?
I would love to go to Australia and drink with those blokes down there, but I'm not flying all the way to fucking Perth. Like, I saw what John Anik had to do. Fuck all that noise.
Okay, if somebody said, Luke, to meet your hungriest MK fans, you could either go to Perth or the UK. You're getting ready for some fish and chips, right?
Yeah, with one, yes. If the answer is Perth, then yeah. I will say this. I've been to England a few times. Love it. Can't wait to go back. It's a great place. I've never been to Australia, so I am trying to scratch that itch, if you know what I'm saying.
Okay. Can we show that guy one more time, Taylor? I didn't get to see him, Luke. Does he have good ball bag management here? What does he got? Okay, all right. He's fighting the good fight, Luke. I mean, maybe he's seen a gym. It's possible.
I mean, it's time to cut the hair, Mike.
Good evening and welcome to the political debate between Hillary Rodham Clinton and Barack Obama. First question, how do you see yourself as different from your opponent? How do you see...
Dad, can we please not watch this?
This is important, Stanley. You boys should care about this stuff.
Yeah, but we totally don't.
Well, you boys are gonna sit and watch this. This is what really matters.
And so, Mr. Obama, why don't you tell us your stance on military spending?
Well, my opinion is that... We interrupt this debate for an emergency news bulletin. It's Britney Watch, keeping you up to date with all your Britney Spears news. Oh boy, what's she done now? Britney Spears has been spotted camping in the Colorado mountains, and one report claims that she has taken a piss in the forest. Robert Pooner has more. Ron, I'm standing in South Mark, Colorado, where Britney Spears has apparently been trying to get away from it all.
Oh, dude, that's our town!
Mrs. Spears was spotted at a mountain campground, and you won't believe what she did, Ron. The troubled diva took a piss right on a ladybug. We've blurred out parts of the photo so that it doesn't offend. She's such a train wreck. When the photo is enhanced, Ron, you can see the poor little ladybug getting doused. This must be very embarrassing for Britney that this photo got out, Bob, and she looks like she's gained weight. That's right, Ron, she really chubbed up. And if you zoom in on her face, you can see that she's got some zits.
Poor girl.
Hey, Sharon, Britney peed on a ladybug.
The photograph was taken by Brian Willis of Bailey, Colorado, who sold it to 31 News for $100,000.
$100,000? That's enough to buy slaves.
Britney is said to be now hiding out in a South Park motel. And now back to the stupid Democratic debates.
And spear chuckers.
Did you guys hear that? $100,000 for a picture of Britney. And she's at a hotel in our town. It's gotta be the Comfort Inn. That's the nicest hotel in South Park. Carmen, go get your camera. Sweet. Hey, hang on, fellas. Don't you think Britney's been through enough? I mean, maybe it's finally time for us all to just leave her alone. Butters, don't be such a pussy. Okay. $100,000 for a picture of Britney peeing on a ladybug. Imagine what a photo of her crapping on a squirrel is worth. Well, this costume was supposed to be for the Easter musical, fellas, not for trying to make an easy buck. Oh, no! Excuse us, we're trying to get a picture of Britney Spears.
Join the club.
Yeah, all you amateur photographers are making this tougher on the professionals.
We're professionals too, you f***ing butthole.
Nobody goes upstairs.
We have special permission? Yeah, don't you recognize us? We're Britney Spears' kids.
You are?
Not me. I'm a squirrel.
But now everybody thinks I hate ladybugs. I didn't even know it was there. I can't take it anymore. I'm just so...
Excuse me, Mrs. Spears, but your kids are here and they've brought you a squirrel.
My boys? Really? Send them in. It's okay. My kids are here. I feel better now.
We did it, guys! I told you that would work. Yeah! All right! All right!
You mean it was just a joke? My kids ain't here?
All right, Butters, go get next to her. I ain't doing it. We tricked her and it wasn't nice. Butters, you want your share of the $100,000 or not?
You're never gonna leave me alone, are you?
It ain't right to take advantage of somebody no matter who they are. All right, fine. We don't need you, Butters. Yeah, we'll just get a picture of her doing something else. All right, lady, just flash us your crotch or something.
I've got a better idea.
You do?
Yeah.
No! You killed her!
Hey, everything all right? Oh.
We should have just left her alone. But we just had to push her. How could we know she would... Oh, we suck so hard.
She's alive.
Whew! Thank God.
But we almost lost her. Why couldn't you boys just leave her alone?
Doctor, could we talk to her for a minute?
I don't want you making her upset.
We don't want to upset her. We just want to tell her that we're sorry.
All right. Miss Spears, these boys wanted to say something.
Oh my God! Oh no!
The boys are just shocked at how good you look, Brittany. Right, boys?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not even noticeable.
Well, I'll let you boys have your say.
Miss Spears, we're really sorry for making you want to kill yourself.
Oh, God, what have we done?
It's Britney Watch, keeping you up to date with all your Britney Spears news.
You won't believe what Britney's done now. The troubled pop star has just been spotted with a crazy, no top part of my head look. This video was taken just hours ago as Britney was wheeled into the hospital for some reason. And if we zoom in on the footage, right here, you can also definitely see a boob job scar. No doubt now that she's had plastic surgery in the past.
Oh, ouch, that's gotta be embarrassing. Chris, any word on why Miss Spears went for this radical, no top of the head look?
No word yet, Tom, but it could be over the embarrassment of the boob job scar video we showed just now. Even though the timing doesn't quite work out.
Over here, Miss Spears.
Why'd you do it, Brittany?
Just a second of your time, Miss Spears.
Over here. Damn it! Can't handle any stress right now.
Excuse me, I'm Britney Spears' manager. Oh, jeez. Britney, what were you thinking? First you shave your head and now this. Well, it's a ballsy new look, I'll give you that.
Brit, over here, Brit, one for Star Weekly. Damn it, you have to take her out of here. She can't be around all this right now.
Right, we need to take her home. Boys, can you give me a hand with her?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, come on. My car's right here.
Hey, look! There she is!
Brittany, why are you wearing any shoes? Why no shoes, Brittany?
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it's like this all the time. Thank you. Yes, thanks.
Look, we feel really bad, and we want to help Brittany however we can.
That's great, boys. Brittany seems to have really taken a liking to you. And don't worry, Brittany is a queen at reinventing herself. We just need to get her into the recording studio right away.
What?
All right, Brittany, let's take it from the top. Remember to bring that sexiness to it.
Excuse me, is this really what you think she should be doing right now?
All right, Britt, let's try it from the top.
God, what a train wreck.
She must be stoned again.
Would you put a stop to this, please? This is only gonna make things worse.
What do you mean? She sounds great. Brittany, that last lyric is supposed to be love elation. Sounds more like you're saying love creation. Elation. Really enunciate the L.
God, she's so stupid.
What do you expect? Look at her. She doesn't have most of her brain.
I know, she's really dumb, huh?
No, I mean she literally doesn't have most of her brain. Her head is gone.
Yeah, and she's all fat, too.
Live from Las Vegas, it's the MTV Video Music Awards.
What's up, y'all? It's the MTV Awards, and we are kicking it off right. Here to perform her new song is the one and only Britney Spears.
Oh, come on now, people.
Oh my God, she's really gotten chubby.
It's Britney, bitch.
lip syncing.
She doesn't have any lips.
So hot.
Disaster at the MTV Awards. People are ridiculing Britney Spears. Her performance was awful, Tom. She looked tired. She looked fat. She didn't have a head. It was just completely phoned in. No doubt, Tom, that girl has major issues.
Don't listen to him, Britt. They're all just jealous. And we can put you on Slim Fast tomorrow.
Brittany, were you on drugs, Brittany?
Hang on. She'll be out in a minute.
We have to get her away from all this, dude. People just aren't going to let up. We have to take her somewhere to just be at peace.
Dude, where in the world can Britney Spears go where nobody will bother her?
I know where. We want 3 tickets to the North Pole.
The North Pole? Who the hell goes to the North Pole?
We do. Me, my friend, and his aunt.
Britney, ouch! A distraught Britney Spears has apparently disappeared and abandoned all those close to her. A local housewife caught a photo of Britney running away in this disguise. Britney is obviously very upset about her MTV performance, Ron, and so she's become desperate. Most troubling for her is the fact that her disguise has total camel toe. Oh, ouch!
Oh, boy. Now, Leslie, this seems like a really bad camel toe offense.
Absolutely major camel toe, Tracy. Britney just seems oblivious. She was bound to get noticed. You walk around with that kind of cam toe and you're gonna turn heads.
David, any idea as to how big the camel toe actually was? She was sporting toe like never before, Brian. I don't know what's wrong with that girl, but it's a slap in the face to camels all over the planet. Those close to Britney say they are very worried and want to bring her home safe. And now back to the local news.
The giant squirrel, which was picked up last week by Animal Control, apparently now thinks it's a person. Colorado officials have taken the squirrel to Johns Hopkins for psychiatric evaluation.
That squirrel is obviously nuts.
Platform 4F. It must be on the other side of the station.
There she is! It's Britney!
Oh, no! Dude, they're never gonna let us through. Yes, they are. I have an idea.
Britney! Where'd she go?
There she is!
Britney, over here!
It's okay. You'll be in the North Pole soon.
There she is! Hey, Britney, it's me! Britney, it's over! What were you running for anyway?
Hey, wait a minute. Where's her camel toe?
I'm not Britney Spears, all right?
Oh, psych!
She must be back at the train station. Come on!
Now, wait a minute! Everyone just stop for 1 minute! Look, you guys are gonna end up killing her! Can't you see that Britney isn't in any condition to handle this crap anymore? I know watching celebrities go down can be fun. Me and my friends were just as guilty as all of you, but maybe, well, just maybe, it's time to let this one go. Just this one time. Let's all stop before it's too late, huh?
Son, you don't seem to understand. Britney Spears has to die.
Huh?
What do you think all this effort has been for?
It cannot be stopped. The purpose is too great.
She must die.
Jesus, come
Little Stanley was tired and hungry. But he knew that for Britney Spears to be safe, he had to get her to the North Pole.
You doing okay, Mrs. Spears?
It's her. I'm sure it's Britney Spears. It looks just like the picture. You want me to what? Yes, I understand.
Red horse! Up on the horse! Hello, I'm Bob Summer. So happy you picked our little town.
What is going on? Why do you want Britney Spears to die?
Well, nobody wants her to die, little boy. We all simply need her to. Do you understand?
No!
Look, kid. Throughout history, people have found it necessary to engage in human sacrifice. In ancient times, humans would commonly pick one lovely girl, adorn her with jewels, treat her like a goddess, and then watch her die.
We like to think we're more civilized now, but the truth is our lust for torture and death is no different than it was in gladiator times.
Only difference is that now we like to watch people put to death through magazines and photographs.
It's a damn shame, too. Old ways were better. Used to be we just picked someone by lottery and then stoned them to death.
Stoning to death was too violent. Rather have the sacrifice kill itself.
You mean everyone has been wanting Britney Spears to kill herself?
Britney was chosen a long time ago to be built up and adored, and then sacrificed for harvest.
All right, everyone's about here.
Who's everyone? Who all is in on this?
Hey, where are we? This isn't right.
Over here, Miss Spears. One cross, back to the right over here, Miss Spears.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Come on, Britney. Come on, come on. Kill her! They're gonna wait, what are you doing here?
It's okay, Kyle. Just be a good boy.
Be a good boy? You know all about this? Kyle, what the is going on now? She's been built up to be sacrificed, Stan! Sacrificed? For what?
For harvest, Stanley. Same reason we've always done it.
Sacrifice in March, corn have plenty starch.
Corn harvest.
We hadn't told you about it, Stanley, because we like to wait until kids are a little older to talk to them about things like condoms and ritualistic human sacrifice for harvest.
All right, enough already. This has all gone on long enough.
The kid is right. This has gone on too long.
Yeah, she was supposed to have killed herself a long time ago. And harvest is coming soon.
All right, folks, let's finish this quickly.
No, wait.
Come on, hurry up.
I can't run. You go ahead. I'll catch up with you.
Here, Davy.
Hold on. She's dead.
Well, I think it's time for us to leave the poor girl alone.
Joe. Morning, Joe. Nice looking corn.
Hey, Sharon, Randy, great harvest, huh?
An incredible harvest. Some of the best corn I've seen in years.
She's the daughter of a country singer, and the young girl has really taken the country by storm. Hannah Montana's Miley Cyrus.
Though only 15 years old, is already on her way to being a major superstar.
Looks like next harvest will be even better.
All right, my G. It's time to cut the hair.
All right, let's go over to Andrew. He says, what's up, guys? Wanted to start off by saying congrats on crossing 121,000 subscribers. Woo. Happy to see a show I love since day one continue to grow. Well, after years of rolling, spraining, and even fracturing my ankle, I feel your pain. I finally decided to suck it up and get it fixed. Just another reminder in my mid-30s that I'm definitely on the road to old, washed, white dad status.
Yeah.
Damn. Surgery was a success at Wellstar Hospital, just 5 miles south of the Big Chicken. Luke knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Thanks for providing a ton of content to take in while I'm stuck here on the couch. As you can see, I always enjoy the pay-per-view preview shows with Chuck. You guys are the best combat sports show on the planet, and don't let anyone tell you differently.
We
MK
don't.
all day, every day. And he closed by saying, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go watch some NFL, turn into a delinquent father. Much love to Andrew from, wow, that's great. Wow.
Have you ever had that
gorgeous,
walking boot?
No, I haven't had that. I've had severe strains where it's basically broken, and then you get a cast, and then, you can't play basketball anymore.
I had to wear one for 2 months one time. This shit sucked.
So I did something really bad my junior year. I didn't want to be that kid who was, leaving class early and is going around with the crutches and everybody's throwing things at you, because they would do stuff like that where I come from, okay?
Yeah, sounds like a very elite high school.
So I came back very early and never wore the crutches at school and just gutted it out. And I remember, the French teacher opened the door, Mrs. Pollack, and she's like, come over here. And she's like, you're going to regret this later in your life. You should be on crutches. What are you doing? And not only did I tough it out and come back early, it was because I wanted to get back on the basketball court. Because, Luke, rec basketball in Naugatuck, Connecticut was as intense as shit. All right? And I came back and played 3 weeks before I was supposed to. And didn't tell my parents either, Luke. And, that French teacher was right. My ankles are like flypaper right now. So there we go. That's the story of my life.
Yeah,
Thank
dude,
you.
I've got my right ankle. I just destroyed 2 times in my life. And it is a complete shit show. So
yeah, I've had, violent sprains many, many times on both ankles. Just ridiculous. Yeah. All right. Let's go to Cubbies fan 80. He says, went and saw my pathetic Chicago Bears lose to Luke's Washington Commanders. So I figured it'd be a good time to rep some MK. Cheers, fellas. Oh, he's got the old school sweatshirt right there. I like that.
Dude, this guy looks like and I say this very much as a compliment. This guy looks like a Chicago dirtbag in every possible way.
I'll tell you, this guy's one of the greatest music fans ever, Luke.
Is that right?
My DMs. He goes, he's seen bands he loves, Pearl Jam, My Morning Jacket, like that. He's seen them, not only a million times, but, he's been there where they've, recorded the live albums. You know what I mean? He's been there for, big shit. Great fan.
Have you? What is your opinion on Chicago as one of America's bigger cities?
So I've only been there once, and it was in the year 2001 on a baseball stadium trip. And I went shirtless in the center field bleachers. Sosa hit number 50 and 51, and got the worst sunburn ever on my shoulders. And you get you know what happens if you get really bad sunburn? It turns into a scab, but then the scab puffs out, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
It puffed out 5 inches that night. It was like I was growing body parts. It's really bad for your body. I never went back.
Chicago's great. One of my favorite cities in the United States. Great food. Very, relatively speaking, for a big city, very kind people. A couple different ballparks. Obviously, you got Soldier Field there as well. I like Chicago. 2 thumbs up for me. Their pizza.
You a big Ronnie Woo Woo fan?
Huh?
In the Wrigley Field bleachers, you a big Ronnie Woo Woo fan? You know that super fan guy that dresses up?
No, but I remember like Harry Carey back in the day. Hi.
Yeah. Remember 88, Luke? Wasn't that the first night game at Wrigley? And it rained?
I don't remember that.
Dude, watching day baseball on TV at Wrigley before they got lights always felt like something special, like you were like getting out of school or something, you know?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yes, that's cool. But Chicago's a cool town. I like Chicago, and this guy is just, I mean, Chi-Town City.
Yeah, I don't think he's he may have been there with Pat Miletich. I'm not sure, Luke. I don't know his background. All right, let's go over to John. He says, MK, good morning, donks. While watching the show Monday, I was concerned my color settings were off in my theater. But then I realized that's just the red tint on VC.
I mean, could this guy have more money? Fuck this guy.
It's just those gas station hot dogs rising to the surface. My guy looks like he just got done sledding the Iditarod. Oh, and Luke, you dirty bitch. How's my cable management? Love the content. You're killing it. It's John.
Do you know how much dirt I would put into that fucking carpet if I was here in this motherfucker's place?
I mean, you would shit your pants in those chairs just to make a point, Luke, right?
I would rub my ass across the carpet like a dog would when he can't get it off after, dropping a goose.
But I'm impressed by his setup, Luke, okay?
Yeah, well, this asshole has money, so now I'm already jealous of his fantastic
Hey, you know who
setup.
else has money? Luke Thomas, all right? And you're earned
I don't have movie theater in my house money. Let me assure you I don't have that. But I will say this, it's pretty nice. I dated a girl who, by the way, you ever dated a really rich girl?
No one. We didn't have rich people where I came from. Okay?
I dated a rich girl one time. It is fucking nice. She had a movie theater in her house, and she also had this is a true story. Ready for this? Her dad had like some kind of limo company he owned, and he was just, some local fucking boss hog,
I bet
guy.
she was. Yeah, go ahead, Luke. Go ahead. Let's not incriminate ourselves.
She was a piece of work, but what I wanted to say was she had a dance floor. They had like a place for parties. They had a dance floor inside of their like sprawling complex of a home, and inside the dance floor they had the back half of like a 1960 Cadillac, whatever the fuck, and it lit up and everything. And then out of the two pipes, like smoke for the dance floor would come out of it, like, and it would pump on cue to the music as well. Like one of the most insane things I'd ever seen. Living that way is nice, but they were certifiably insane.
They were detached from reality. Luke, this guy John, do you think this is like a really cool, funny? Because he had a couple zingers in here, Luke. But you're framing this as this rich asshole just wanted to show off that he has nice things, and he.
No, I mean no. Well, yes, I mean I'm being a dick. I mean let's just be very clear about that. I mostly am jealous that I don't have something like this. But I am
Hey,
very
you have
glad.
an outdoor gym. I mean, you've gone places in your life.
See, I
Luke,
don't
you
really
haven't-
have an outdoor gym. I have shit that collects in the front of my house, and then I just work out there. But that's not the same as really having like an outdoor gym.
By the way, you having a gym in your front yard is the second most dub T thing about you, and I don't want you to change for me, okay? All right.
If I vaped with a dumbbell in my hand in my front yard, could you get more dub tea than that? I honestly don't know.
Dude, I could, I've seen that in my hometown. Believe me. I mean, dude, people don't understand. If you're on, the 8th row of Delta in my hometown, and you like walk into a random Cumberland Farms, there could be a shirtless guy with a snake around his neck just walking around. Like that stuff. That's the best way to describe what that's like, Luke. Okay, it's a wild card. You never know what's going to happen next. All right. I've seen that guy with the snake, by the way. It's ridiculous. Who's shirtless and crazy enough to bring a snake into a Cumberland Farm? We got those people too, Luke. You know what I'm saying? You don't like that? You can kiss
Did you
off.
handle them at a religious service?
No. Luke, let's go over to JP. You know this guy, right? From Mount Unike, Nova Scotia, right?
I do now.
Uniac. He says, after the events of last week, we need to make this happen. Room Service Diaries Happy Hour Edition. With special guests Julia Rose and Stephen A. Smith. Tossed salad is on the menu. I heard, Luke, you're a fan of it. Wow.
How did this get it? Like Mikey saw this and was like, yeah, we're going to put this one on the show.
You're actually tossing a salad while vaping, Luke. Can you blow that up again? We may lose our sponsors, but it's worth it. Let's see. Look, you see that sign above Room Service Diaries? I mean, really, JP?
I kind of like that. I got my salad tossed at Room Service Diaries. That is, by the way, I mean, could I have a dumber face? Could I look worse, by the way? Could I just look worse?
So that mug says, I love tossed salad.
God damn, this is a stupid show. Oh,
this is why your dad doesn't respect your career and what you've made of yourself, Luke. Okay, that is it. Exactly. Thank you, JP. Let's go to @McLean Training. Luke was right. The resemblance is uncanny, he said.
No, but they didn't even get the good. They didn't even get the good picture. You got to get BC when he's eating. That's the only time it happens. Here's BC when he's eating. Ready? Put the camera on me for a second. This is a true story. All right? So my man will put something in his face right here, whatever it is, fucking brownie or whatever, and he goes like this. And it's that, dude. And go put it on me one more time. Put it on me one more time. Dude, that eye gets real intense because it has to overcompensate for the closed one. And it's like, dude, why the fuck are you looking at me that way? You'd be like, yo, I'm just eating. I'm like, dude, you're not just eating. You're like surveilling, like the NSA or some shit. What are you doing?
Well, also when I'm eating, you love to sit right next to me and talk to me about life while I'm eating.
Yeah, BC's like, why are we having conversation while we consume food? Where I'm from, we just eat and go.
Look, I don't know what that tick is. It could be a malfunction. I could, you know what I mean? No disassemble. Yeah, it could be something lame like that.
It's a good meme, though. They used a better picture, but that's a good meme.
Let's go over to Danger Mouse. Hi, BC. Let's start with an homage to your time in Deadwood, South Dakota. So maybe it's career analysis. I'm not really sure at this point.
I wasn't there. You can take me out of it.
Yeah. Jake was there with me there in the background. And as the doc brought back memories of the live show, here's one I didn't send in at the time.
Reactions to Luke's drunken antics on the show. BC production team, YouTube.
And finally, just one for the boys in the chat room. Oh boy, this is not. How did this make it through?
Say the line, Luke. Totality. Why is that? So this has apparently become a thing that I say the word. I guess I say it a lot, which is fine or whatever for derision.
To be quite candid with you, you say it a lot.
Yeah, it's a good word. I like it. Also, why am I wearing the? You couldn't pick a better photo of me. I'm wearing the one where I'm wearing the hat like a fuckface.
You look like an Ayatollah right there, right, Luke? I say that with respect.
Do you? Is that what you say it with?
Yeah, I do. All right. I actually, did you know our colleague Hakeem Dermish is the first North African Sports Center host in ESPN history, Luke, okay? And now he's rocking out CBS Sports HQ.
He's from Libya, yes.
Yes, represent. All right, Alan W. here. He says, hi, it's Alan W. Why don't you put some respect on that name, you washed bitches? Damn, this guy coming out hot.
Jesus.
Oh,
Depriving you of your brains one episode at a time. Wow, that's a...
Is this hate art, Luke? Is this like the dark side of art right now?
We called him Alan E the other day, apparently.
Oh, instead of Alan W. Well, you're just weird either way. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for ruining my sleep tonight. I really appreciate that, Alan E.
That was Halloween inspired. But let's slide over to Mike K from Danbury, Connecticut. Yes, he says, couldn't help but pick up this gem of a moment when this fight piqued Luke's interest. From one donk to another, Mike K, Connecticut's own.
Tracy Cortez versus Amanda Hebos. That's a big one as well. Clay Guida versus Hot Sauce, Scott Holtzman.
Dude, hold on. Don't go too fast. Did you say Tracy Cortez is fighting Hebos?
Yes.
Forgot that was even a thing. That is tremendous.
That should be more my wheelhouse than yours. Should be more my wheelhouse than yours.
Arrésteme. Ese compa ya está muerto. No más no le han avisado.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Wow,
yeah,
Danger Mouse.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty.
No, that was
funny.
Mike
Dude.
K. Sorry, let's put some respect. Mike K, Danbury, Connecticut. Well done.
That was
wow.
really, dude. And I will say this: the female cops in Colombia are.
They're buenos noches.
That's good night. So no, I wouldn't use that word, but
I'll call it a great night. Yeah, actually, yeah, right. Yeah, wow. Let's not undersell it, right? Or underscore it. Hey, Luke, we got one more, and it's JP's back. He's doing double duty today. Good day, crew, MK fans. Jake may have leaked some of the director's cut footage to inspire MK documentary number 8 called Silence of the Art, Creepy Campbell's Closet. I mean, good Lord, BC, what's with your dark and creepy Silence of the Lambs inspired basement bunker studio? I expected a pile of dead hookers to fall out of the closet when you open the sliding door. Classy editing job by Jake to exclude your rant of, now put the lotion in the basket. Wow. Love you guys. Keep up the amazing award-winning show. It's,
yeah, dude, that basement's a little too dark, if I could be honest with you.
Dawn and Jay. So yeah, I didn't have the overhead light on. Jay, I was like, Jake, is this lighting good? He's like, yeah, it's great. So maybe he wanted to paint that picture. Luke.
At what point did you tell him it puts the lotion on the skin or else it gets the hose again? When did you do that?
Yeah. Shout out. Wow, that's who's in that bunker there? Is that Ariel, Luke?
It's Ariel, Rogan, and Dana, I guess, that he put down there.
Wow. Those are wow, yeah. All the people you are holding till voting ends. Yeah, yeah, good call. Good call. I see. Yep. Wow. Okay, that's all the fan subs. Wow, Luke, JP's, damn. I mean, him and David Appleton fighting each other for creative licenses to try to become the donk of the year in this heated race, which I think we got 5, 6, 7 contenders for 2022 donk of the year, dude. I never thought, all right? I never knew that. Yeah.
What was that?
I think I was deep in the fray right there, Luke, but I'm not afraid of that, okay?
Was that the song? Wait, hold on. Was that the song? Had to save a laugh. That stupid
no,
one?
but it's the same band, but a different song, Luke, all right?
All right,
Yeah.
very good. Reminder, everyone, we're back Friday. We'll have a special guest help us break down and get ready for UFC 280 a little bit more. We'll do the undercard preview. By the way, we haven't even talked about it. There's a one on Prime Video 3 on Friday night. We'll get you ready for that as well. Plus, BC will be...
You chatted with Cade ahead of that. You should sell that clip.
Yeah. I spoke with Cade Ruotolo. If you guys don't know who he is, he just won the ADCC. I forget which bracket he was in. Minus 77 kilos, something like that. I have to go back and double check. But he is the youngest ever gold medalist at ADCC, and he submitted everyone in his bracket. Fucking unbelievable. So check that interview out because he is facing a Sambo world champion in a 1 round, 12-minute grappling match on Friday night for one on Prime Video 3. So we'll get you ready for all of those on Friday, and we have the pregame preview. We're reminding everyone to go check that out for some takes from the old Iceman himself. And I'm going to say it again, post-fight show for us, instant reaction for UFC 280. I will be there for you guys on Saturday, actually afternoonish.
These 5 words, I swear to you, yes. Luke, I wanted to say that, seriously, that DraftKings gig, they put money in our pocket, but you can put money in yours. You get $200 by betting $5 on UFC 280 by using our code COMBAT with a K. Guys, that's a good deal right there, okay? So don't miss out. We can't wait for the fights on Saturday. Check out our pregame preview. Get ready. We're gonna have more on Friday, Luke. We're gonna have a special guest. We're attacking this card, and it deserves to be attacked. All right?
We certainly are.
It's great. It's wonderful.
All right, so let's. I think that's all of our plugging we have to do. Showtime is the label that pays. You can go.
At least on camera, right, Luke?
That's right. Lay in pipe. Showtime.com, 30-day free trial. If you like it, you can keep it. If not, you can bounce. MorningCombat.store for all the merch that is available for your heart's content. MorningCombat@gmail.com to reach the show's producers for Friday's Dead Wrongs at this point. But in general, that's where you go. And that is it for us. BC, any final thoughts before we go?
No, but, if you're not doing anything Friday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, your boy BC on Showbox Triple Header. We're back. Check it out. Thank you to everybody, our great crew, Long Island Luke, Gaff, Manich, and don't forget Mikey Morms. We love these guys, okay? They're weird, though. I mean, dude, our guy Tristan, the cameraman, Luke, he has a lot of rabid animals tattooed on his arms, and, I'm happy for him. I'm really happy for him.
People like what they like. All right, so for BC, for Malka, CBS Sports, and Showtime, I'm Luke Thomas. We'll talk to you guys on Friday, and until next time, may all of your gains be loyal.
I think this will be the biggest fight of the year. I don't know what other event tops this, so I'm really excited for that.
I don't think this will affect my legacy or my career.
I respect this man. I'm still gonna knock him out, but respect.
E mai mult decât ieftin. E de la Lidl. Profită de ofertele noi. Se spune că fructele merg bine.
Fill her up.
You're listening to the
Motherfucking home. It's over. It's done. Bo Nickel. I don't know what's going on. He's been great. He's been great. Every time he's like, yeah, no problem. I'll be there. But I've been doing nights and I've been doing days. And I've been doing nights and I've been doing days. And I don't know what time of day it is. I'm drinking first thing in the fucking morning. Do you know what I mean? I'm losing my mind. Our pets' heads are falling off, but we're back, baby, with a bang. Anthony Smith, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good, man. I'm getting ready to do this whole fly off thing to Bristol for UFC 280, which I can't fucking wait for. You know, I haven't traveled in a while, just with this whole injury blood clot thing. So, just got all my packed and ready to roll. I bet you are pumped. Are your wife and kids excited?
Oh, we're all excited. See, because Callum, bless him, he needs to have surgery again. He keeps his knees in wrestling, so he's going to be home. It's like every cloud has a silver lining. He flies home tonight. Well, tomorrow. When I land, he pretty much lands. So all the family's going to be back together. We're going to have a nice home-cooked meal, have some wine, play some music. All the family will be back together. And then tomorrow morning, UFC 280. It's on in the morning. I'll be sitting on my couch, you know, watching with Cal. I can't wait. Just get back to my normal life. Don't get me wrong. I had a lovely time out here doing the movie. Very, very grateful for these opportunities. But, bro, living in a hotel room by yourself for 9 fucking weeks, some days you want to kill yourself. No, I shouldn't say that because it's mocking. I'm joking. But it gets depressing. It does sometimes. But still.
What's been the hardest part other than being away from home? Is it just, excuse me, is it just the living in a hotel, being alone part or just the workload?
Not so much the workload, even though, to be honest, and I'm not going to sit here and say, whoa, you don't realize actors work really hard. But they do, the hours are pretty, you know, we're getting picked up at sometimes 4:45, 5 a.m. You're not walking until 7, 8 p.m. And then it switches, then you're doing night shoots, you know, so you're absolutely exhausted. It comes to 2 o'clock in the morning, you can't keep your eyes open, but you're going through till 6 a.m. Do you know what I mean? And then you have a day and a half off, and then boom, you're going again. You know, so that's been tough. But the main thing has just been, but it's been fun as well. When you're actually doing things, you know, my character, you know, is swinging an axe around, killing people like that. And I did some pretty cool acting scenes as well. When you're doing that stuff, you forget all about being tired. You know, and they say, and I sound like a wanker because people go, oh, Bisping's Hollywood now. I'm not Hollywood. But the saying is, the acting you do for free is the standing around the waiting that you get paid for. Do you know what I mean? But to answer your question, just being alone, being away from the family, living in a hotel room by yourself. You know, I've got a great life back home, and I can't wait to get back to it. But still, enough about that. We'll be back 2 episodes per week. Garen, mother, shame, teed. And you can take that to the bank. Anthony Smith, what movie is that from?
I don't know. I never know. I never know.
Yeah, I know.
Never.
When I said take that to the bank, I'm like, oh, I know what movie that is. All right. It stars a guy. He's very tall. He's a martial arts guy. He was big in the 80s/90s.
I don't know.
He made a crossover into the mixed martial arts world sphere by mentoring a couple of certain Brazilians.
Is it Steven Seagal?
It's a Steven Seagal movie.
Uh-oh. I don't know if I know any Steven Seagal movies.
Yeah, this one was good. Hard to Kill. Is it Hard to Kill or Nico? Yeah. Have you never seen that?
Hard to Kill.
And you take that to the bank. He gets put in a coma and he comes out years later and his family's been killed and whatnot. And he goes on revenge. Anyway.
Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal. Remember that with the front kicks to the face? And showing...
yeah. What is with the yellow glasses? That's what drives me. I don't get it. I don't want to sit here and talk bad about Steven Seagal.
No, me neither. Hollywood Bisping strikes again. I did a film in Bangkok when we did 2019 or 6. I don't know. And Steven Seagal, I got a tap on the shoulder. It was like Minder or Bodyguard, whatever. He said, Mr. Seagal says, would you like to join in for cigars and whiskey? And I'm like, well, I don't smoke cigars and I don't really drink whiskey. But fuck yes, I do. He was a very accommodating gentleman, so shout out Seagal, you fucking maniac. What should we get into? Harrington. Did you see his escapade?
Oh my, yes. I completely forgot. None of that was in the notes. So, this Booger Beard guy who's been screaming and cutting promos and telling Bisping he was gonna suck his dick.
He loves a good dick suck reference.
He loves a good dick sucking.
Yeah,
But-
you love a good dick suck as well, Anthony.
Who doesn't?
But then he's on Twitter.
From Booger Beard.
From I was upset that he didn't offer me one. Actually, like why?
He
Just
gets
Mike, huh?
offered a lot. I don't even follow
just-
him on Twitter, people.
So he's giving them to everyone but me. Like that's bullshit. First of all, but then he's on Twitter crying, like super upset, and he's in his feelings, and he can't handle the. I don't know, the people giving him shit, like I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
Hold on. Was he actually crying?
He's got some emotional tweets lately.
People were telling him to kill himself all weekend, so he's not quite used to that.
Well, that's not nice, and I'll let explain just a second, Harrington. Just for people that don't know, Harrington had a boxing match against this guy on Twitter that's kind of getting well known. He's like in the MMA Twitter world called Booger Beard, and he makes jokes. He's pretty funny on Twitter. And you guys had a boxing match at Skankfest. You wiped the floor with him. I saw the video of it, Harrington. I wrote the whole thing, and shout out Booger Beard, and ignore those dickheads, because sadly, why would people fucking say to go kill yourself and things like that? That's
To be fair, he was a super cool dude. I was hanging out with him for a little bit when he showed up, because nobody was talking to him, and I was just like, I fucking think you're great.
Yeah, no. He does seem like a nice guy. Harrington, tell me about your experience, bud.
Yeah, I mean, my experience really was Brian fraternizing with the enemy just hours before I had to go fight the guy. But, it was a lot of fun, man. Honestly, he had nothing for me. He had absolutely no clue what to do against the hand speed in there.
He knocked himself over throwing a punch, Harrington. You had very little to do with it.
Anthony, have you heard this guy? Could you actually imagine if Harrington got some real skills and actually started winning fights?
Yeah, if he was actually
my
good.
God. It
hold
would be
on.
insufferable.
Sorry, I gotta tell my baby bye. They're going on a field trip. Or I'm gonna be gone when they get back. Hey.
Bye-bye. Hello. So sorry, what's your name again?
Alani.
Alani. Hello, Alani.
Hey.
Do you want to see something freaky, Alani? Look here.
Look, he's gonna pop his eyeball.
Ooh, that's not something you see every day, Alani. Oh, no, he's gonna cry. Oh, no. I'm putting it back in. I'm putting it out. Yeah, she's like, no, this is conversation.
I love it.
Oh. So they're going away. You're going to Bristol, Connecticut for UFC.
I am. Sorry to cut you guys off there. My bad.
No, we love it.
Yeah, they're going on a field trip with with the 8-year-old to Pumpkin Patch, and by the time they get back, I'll be gone.
Well, we know that's good for you then, because you're up to your eyeballs, part of the expression, in pumpkins, I'm sure. Should we tease Harrington some more? We've got a lot of stuff to talk
he should.
about.
He should. He's being.
Go ahead.
I actually have serious questions. What? Were you nervous? Like when you're getting ready to walk out and go fight?
So, here's the thing. Like Mike is making fun of me. I've done this twice before where I've gotten...
He's a seasoned pro!
I've gotten in front of a crowd and fought somebody, but never somebody as big as... Booger Bear was 6'2", 240 pounds.
Harrington,
that guy...
stop.
Yes.
I'm not making We're having a light-hearted bit of banter, mate. I'm not making fun of you at all. I never do. It's a bit of banter. But I've done this twice before. Hey, God bless you. No. I said to bring it up. Good for you, man. Well done. You went out and beat a homeless person up. Something
like
to
he
be
did
really proud of.
He spends all his time sucking random dicks. He's not training.
That's the only
Come on
reason
now.
he was there. He was looking for something to stop. Come on, talk.
I will tell you, it is cool. It is cool just a couple days a week, showing up, working with your friends, training on things, and then getting into a ring and put it to good use. The conversation I had with Booger Beard after, because I did. You're right. I wiped the floor with him. I hit him with some big body shots that he said were enough to keep him from getting out of bed the next day. So I was pretty proud of that one. But I told him, I was like, dude, go to a gym. Right? And get a couple, actually try this, right? You got into a ring, you had literally thousands of people cheering you on while you were in a boxing match. Go to a boxing gym and actually try for a couple days a week, training and get some skills, and then try yourself again. Just test yourself, because nothing ventured.
And then maybe he could earn a rematch with you.
Oh, I would love to. I would
But
love.
he's gonna have to earn it. He's gonna have to get some legitimate wins. He's gonna have to
Yeah.
sell out some cards.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, he's got to do. You know,
Counting money,
I love the confidence in him,
Mayweather. Yeah, I don't listen to this
And
guy.
yet he still won't street fight.
Furious anger.
You might want to bleep that bit out.
I'll pay your purses.
yeah.
God.
street
Oh my
fight.
God, yes. Today's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know, mental health has never had such a big spotlight on it than what it has now. But the reality is, people suffer. People are still suffering, and sadly, suicides are still happening all the time. That's why talking to somebody really, really comes in helpful. And that is what BetterHelp offers. Listen, people are busy. People have lives. People can't travel to the other side of town or whatever, you know. But we have these phones in our pockets, so that's what you can do. You can FaceTime essentially with a therapist, or you speak to them on the phone, whichever one works. So you don't have to sit in traffic. You don't have to go and have an awkward conversation. If you don't like the professional counselor that they match you up with, then you can just switch very, very easily. Also, it's more affordable than traditional offline counseling. Financial aid is also available, so it's very, very easy to get started. So, listen, if you have something that's on your mind that's preventing you from being the best you can be, if you're having suicidal thoughts, if you're having any kind of issue, you know, speak to somebody. Reach out. There really is no stigma, and this is a very easy way to do it. You know, as I say, it takes away all that awkwardness, takes away the research. You just go to betterhelp.com/believe. You can join over 1 million people that have taken charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. Okay, betterhelp.com/believe. That's the website. You're gonna get 10% off your first month. Listen. You know if you're listening to this, there's something eating away at you inside. Do yourself a favor, confront those demons, talk about whatever it is. Go to betterhelp.com/believe. You will get 10% off your first month. We're going to not talk about you for a second and your babies and whatever escapade.
Undefeated career.
Undefeated career. Oh my God. What's going on with grizzly bears, bisons, and all this type of stuff?
So this is going to be a two-parter here because I have the details on the bison. So a woman, Rebecca Clark, was
Rebecca Clark. Nice, yeah, I know her well.
I remember her.
She's still working at that restaurant.
Yeah. She's at 99. Yeah. She's a manager. So she was trying to make her way back onto a path. She ran into some bison while she was hiking, and she tried to skirt them and give them a wide berth there. And one of the bison, she didn't pick up the signals that the bison were not having her near them, and she got rammed and gored while filming.
We need to see the video.
Oh, it's got the good music. You always need good music when you got a goring happening.
Just want to get okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Stupid. Yep. That's.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! There you go.
Well, what the fuck does she expect? Thanks, Brian. I mean, a bison is a ridiculously large, powerful, wild animal. And these women, well, I don't mean women, these people, men, obviously that was a woman, but do you think they're in a fucking, not even a zoo, but they think they're, I don't know what they're thinking, a petting zoo. Oh, we're just gonna film it and get close.
It always shocks me when people see these goddamn video, they see these wild animals and they're just so confident and so comfortable to just walk by like this thing gives a fuck about you. Bison do a pretty good job of protecting themselves in the wild. There's not a whole shit ton of predators, especially predators by themselves, that are attacking bison. It's just, I don't know where people get this confidence where they're just cool thinking that they're the alpha. Yeah, he'll just walk away because I'm here. I don't give a fuck about you. You're in the way. You're in the way, and you're a threat, and that's exactly what happens when wild animals are threat. I don't get it. People, obviously we're gonna get into this bear shit too, but people think that they're these big fluffy animals and they're cute and they're seeing out on these planes and cool pictures. They're not. These are goddamn murderers.
Well, we were talking the other week, weren't we, about the dog attacks, I think it was, or maybe it was one of the episodes you couldn't grace us on because, you know, large dog. But you know, animals are wild animals, and that is a bison. And as you said, that's a really good point. I can't really think in North America what kind, other than humans, of course. I mean, what other? Maybe a grizzly bear?
Wolves, bears, but bears aren't attacking bison.
Nah,
that's way too hard to target. Like a pack of wolves? Yeah, but it takes like 20, and it will take them 4 hours.
Wolves and dogs are the top predators on the planet. What wild dogs? Got a documentary I watched. Animals, man. You got to be careful. Like last night, we were doing the scene of the movie Lardy Die, here we go again. But we were doing some stunts. I can't go into details. You can feel what happened. But the horse got really spooked, right? And it just took off, charging around the fucking set like crazy. And there's hundreds of people, do you know what I mean? And there's cameras, and there's expensive equipment. And then some of the other horses started getting fucking riled up. And I'm standing there in the middle of the fucking thing, swinging an axe around, and I'm like, whoa! And it all hell broke loose. And obviously I only see out on the side. And I turned around, and the horse charged right at me. And it was probably about 6 feet away from me. And I thought, I'm fucking dead. And I just went, I don't know where this came from. There's no training in this. I just went, put my hand out, no! Like that.
Yeah.
It stopped right in its fucking tracks. I swear to God.
You're a fucking hero. You stopped the whole thing.
I swear, I went, whoa! And it stopped. I turned around, I'm like, please, tell me we got that on fucking camera. I don't know if we did.
When I say whoa, I mean whoa.
But you were talking about some grizzly bears. There was another thing with some bears.
There's a couple. Yeah, there's a couple bear things going on, isn't there? One's a black bear, and I think the other's a grizzly bear.
Well, let's just keep it on the grizzly because it's more impressive.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah. Well, I figured Harrington had the details.
Oh, no, right.
Like I got the general. I think this must be the black bear.
This is the black bear.
Yeah, this guy's just hiking and climbing. And there's a fucking bear.
Whoa.
Look at him hammer fisting the shit out of it.
Oh my God.
Do you see that thing come right from the top?
See how fast it moved?
Yeah. You see how fast he turned around and was able to like land in a pretty athletic position?
And then run straight back up?
Yeah. And that's weird too, because black bears aren't typically super aggressive.
No.
They're like little, I always call black bears like little crackheads. Like they'll definitely, like when you're out amongst, you know, like in the woods, like we ride razors a lot, like deep in the just deep in the fucking weird places where there's lots of black bears. I've never seen one in the wild. Like they'll see you and hear you way before you'll hear them, and they're kind of little crackheads. Like they'll just jet out and they don't want to be around. So it's kind of weird he's so aggressive.
Yeah, no, here in Bulgaria, we're in the city of Sofia, but then surrounded by us is just all woods and countryside. It's actually very beautiful. And we've done some filming in the woods on certain nights. I was like, what kind of wildlife do we get around here? And there's lots of bears, black bears, and wolves. And I said, is there attacks, you know, from the bears? And then they said, no. So generally, they're not interested in humans. They tend to stay away. So to your point there. But Brian, wasn't there one of two footballers or two wrestlers or something physically fist fighting a grizzly bear?
So what I have is there was no video of it, but it's two students at a Northwest college in Cody, Wyoming. It was two members of the wrestling team. They were on a hike in a national park. One of them was attacked by a grizzly bear. His teammates saw it, ran over, attacked the bear, like started pulling on its fur, basically just got it off his teammate who had like a puncture. Yes.
I believe Brian said he has the video. So whilst you're doing an awesome
not of the grizzly bear.
Jesus Christ, this show's all
fuck
over
that
the place.
one up, Mike.
We
You
haven't
fuck
been
that one
back
up.
on air in weeks, and we come back with this subpar bullshit. Oh dear.
No, I'll clean it all up. We'll be fine.
No.
This show's gonna be
I'm
great.
kidding. I'm kidding. Go on, Harrington. Sorry, but I just got confused. I must have meant the black bear. I thought whilst you're doing a great play-by-play, a picture paints 1,000 words and does it more impressively.
Oh, there's pictures of the after though.
Right. So the kid had the first kid who got attacked had a broken arm and a puncture wound in his side from the bear's claws. So the teammate who got the bear off of his friend, right? Then he gets attacked by the bear, gets pinned up against the tree, and the kid with the broken arm has to get up and now save the guy who came and saved him. And they ended up just saving each other. And then it was rough. It's rough. The images of them are pretty grisly.
Well, I tell you what, that that's a real fucking friend, because that is to go in and help you. I mean, of course you would, but that's almost suicide. That is almost suicide, to run in and to mano a mano against
That's like
fucking
fighting a real monster.
No,
Grizzly bears are fucking huge.
It's insane. It's insane.
Well, and while the story is pretty cool, I don't want to downplay it, but there's no way two guys are fighting off a grizzly bear that wants to keep fighting. Like they're lucky enough that he just decided it wasn't worth it. Like grizzly bears are to me the most terrifying animal on the planet by far. Like I'll fuck with sharks. I'll fuck with a lot of other things.
Have you seen? No, let me see. Let me make my screen bigger.
He's very lucky the bear only attacked his face.
Mate, they could have just been eaten for
Bears
that's
usually
not
gut people.
Like they owe that bear their life. That he just decided, like, nah, fuck it, I'm good.
Oh yeah, because it's not a competition. They didn't fight off the bear. They fought enough to remain alive, and the bear just thought, fuck it. Because that's what you're dealing with now. I know I always throw the movie references at you, but this one's very, very fitting. Have you seen The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio?
No.
Anthony.
Oh my God, yes, I have actually. Where he gets it. Yes, I've watched it a couple times. Where he gets attacked by the bear.
It's done so fucking well, and I'm not. I don't mean
his son gets killed, and it's a fucking.
The bears.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, that scene and that's what it would be like.
That's exactly how it would be.
There's just no fighting back. I mean, this movie's done so well, but it's terrifying. And that bear, and just throwing him around, like literally, he's just, I don't know, like I'm throwing this phone around. You know what I mean? It's wow.
They're absolutely terrifying to me.
Last thing before we get into some MMA, because we've been going for a while, and I don't care. It's our podcast. We like it. You came up with a great question before, and what was it? What would you rather fight? A grizzly bear, a lion, or a what? Or a gorilla?
Or a gorilla. Yeah. That was the question.
Smith, what would you rather fight? A grizzly bear, a lion, or a gorilla?
If I had to choose what I was going to get attacked by, grizzly bear would be behind almost behind anything else. Like, here's how I look at it. Lions and gorillas will kill you first before they eat you. The grizzly bears will eat you while you're still alive. And that's like, if you've ever watched videos of grizzly bears, like killing deer or moose, number one, they're fast as fuck and they will run down a goddamn deer. But like the noise, it's not just the noise of them eating the animal, it's the animal losing its shit because it's being eaten alive from the inside out. They're just straight murder faces. Like it's insane. It's insane.
But a lot of wildlife do that. If you ever, we mentioned it quite a lot on here. Yes, Brian.
That's why I said that kid was lucky it only went after his face, because they usually gut you.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. If Nature is Metal, do you follow that page on Instagram?
Yeah,
it's fucking great. And you always see some animals, and they're literally like, it's always like a little deer or a Bambi or a gazelle or something like, and whatever it is, the alligator, or sometimes it's a snake. I saw one recently, a gigantic fucking snake just swallowing it whole. It's like deer. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
A grizzly, but gorillas are fucking terrifying, and a lion with the claws. Listen, either way, you're fucked.
Well, like most cats will kill you first, and then they eat you.
Yeah.
Like snakes and alligators, they'll kill you first.
Gorillas scare the life out of me, though. Yeah. They'll eat your face off. They're carnivores.
Yeah, I guess gorillas will too. Chimpanzees, like that crazy lady here in America somewhere that had that pet chimp and then ate her face off.
Oh, yeah. Ugh. I'm staying away from all three of them. But you know who's not? And this is why I actually have the trophy at home for the International Segway of the Year. Do you know who's not afraid of lions? Do you know who now walks with lions? Who's taking on someone that wrestles with bears? Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. UFC 280, Fight Island going down this weekend. Enough nonsense, enough bullshit. Let's get into some of this stuff. Charles Oliveira walking with lions. Did you see it this week? Like taking a lion.
Yeah, it was cool. That was super cool. I mean,
would you do that? I mean, I've stroked lions with my children.
Yeah, I would. I think it kind of goes back to that whole Tiger King shit where it's like, you know, the whole world, all the comments I seen were like, that poor tiger should be or that poor lion should be in the wild. Like, yeah, I mean, it's a cool looking video though. Yeah, I mean, I agree. But it's a cool video.
And it's probably highly sedated as well. Possibly. I don't know.
Likely.
Listen, when I stroke lions, and I shouldn't have did it because, you know, they should be free. Or it was tigers. They probably were sedated. I'd like to fucking think so anyway. Charles Oliveira, Islam Makhachev. I mean, where do we start? There's so much to talk about. We're not just going to get into breaking it down. I said, and this seems to cause quite a shitstorm, Anthony, but I guess we'll start with this. I did a YouTube video saying that if Charles beats Islam Makhachev this weekend, and they even asked Charles about it at the press conference, what he thinks about it, and does he think about these things? I said, if he beats Islam, there's certainly a discussion that he would now be the GOAT, the greatest lightweight of all time. What do you think about that?
I don't think there's much of a discussion there, to be honest with you, Mike. When I seen kind of the headlines, you can always tell, like when they come out, like Michael Bisping says, and you're like, oh, okay, they're setting him up to get shit on. But I don't see a whole lot of controversy there, to be honest with you. There's absolutely a conversation to be had. He would have the most title defenses in a long time. Definitely more than Khabib. And that's not a knock on Khabib. He just didn't defend it a bunch of times. It goes in, and Khabib has said himself that Islam is the better version of him. There's quotes of him saying that.
That's interesting.
So if that's the case, then absolutely. If the greatest lightweight of all time says that Islam is better than he was, I think that you can add a bunch of merit on top of that. He beat Poirier, he beat Gaethje, he beat Chandler, he beat Tony Ferguson. I don't. Who do you put above him if he beats Islam? The only person would be Khabib.
11-fight win streak, 10 of them are finishes. Of course, the counter to that would be the losses. And if you're pro Khabib, and by the way, I'm pro Khabib. I put a tweet out yesterday because I love how, to your point, the narrative is kind of being skewed and the clickbait. And it's like I'm talking shit about Khabib. Khabib's a fucking legend. You know, the fact that I'm saying it's a potential that he will now become the greatest lightweight of all time over Khabib is a big compliment to Khabib. I'm saying he's the greatest lightweight of all time. But it's just a body of work, and eventually when somebody just keeps racking up the wins, and you can't hold the losses at a different weight class against him forever, right. But I guess it would come down to who would win a fight between the two of them. But we've got plenty of real fights and not hypothetical ones to discuss. All right, let's just talk about rockauto.com. You know the one. Listen, if you want car parts, you want them at the best prices, you want them delivered to your house. All you got to do is go to rockauto.com. They've been in business for over 20 years because the prices are so cheap. There's no storefront markups. There's no some guy trying to sell you things that you don't need. And literally, you get it from the convenience of your own home. Pick up your phone, go to rockauto.com. We don't give you a code because the prices are already so cheap. And then guess what? Boom, delivered right to your house. Everything you need, anything for a car. If you work on a car, you drive a car, you just need to fix something on a car, whatever. If it's car related, they have it at rockauto.com. So that's the website. As I say, no promo code. Everything is genuinely incredibly cheap. Anything you need for a car, make sure you go to rockauto.com, but tell them that the Believe You Me podcast sent you there if you don't mind. rockauto.com. Okay. What are the talking points before we get in there? Anything on your mind that you've seen this week from the embeddies or the press conferences or anything?
I do notice that there's a little bit of difference in the narrative behind Islam right now. Khabib is doing something that he hasn't typically done before with Islam. But before, he's always talking about how great Islam is, and how easy for these fights are going to be, and how dominant he is, and about his win streak. He's always building up Islam. And I've noticed in the last week, Khabib is doing less of that and more shitting on Charles a little bit, talking about how is he supposed to talk about he's got the best jiu-jitsu in the UFC, but he's tapped, I think he said he's always tapped 8 times, which he hasn't, but
no, I know. I saw that, and this is where the sucker I am. I went and checked out Charles' record straight away. He's tapped 8 times. I know he's tapped, but Khabib got me going
like
there.
3. Yeah, a little bit of hyperbole, I think, there, but I don't know. It just seems like they're more trying to bring down Charles, and they're not building up Islam as much. And that's just something that's been new.
I think maybe with that discussion that Charles is maybe getting a little bit of a shine. I don't think Khabib is jealous of anybody. I don't think there's any of that. But I mean, you can only hype up your man so much to a certain degree. You know what I mean? They have hyped him majorly. Everybody has. Khabib has, and Khabib is pushing. Even Islam was saying he's getting to a point now where he's getting mad at Khabib, because he's pushing him so ridiculously hard in the training camp, which is amazing. I mean, what a great training environment to have that, that setup. Somebody like Khabib, that lineage, that history from his father, and they were raised together in the same place. And to have someone with so much experience in your corner, in your training camp, in your ear, in your fucking house, monitoring your food, I'm sure. Do you think you could deal with that, or would you want to tell him to fuck off?
I don't fuck off.
Yeah,
I don't.
Like, bro.
I do feel like there's I guess another possibility is that this is probably Islam's first fight in a long time where he's not the main draw. As far like he's not the one that all the stories are being written about. Because I do notice that a lot of the media and the talking points and the social media stuff and the UFC content that's getting pushed, it's a lot of Oliveira. It's a lot, and there's not nearly as much Islam going into this fight as there has been in the past.
Well, Islam's a very, very captivating character for very different reasons. I saw a video today on Instagram, and the answer from Islam was amazing. What was it now? It was something about competitive rival. Oh, no. It was about teammates that became rivals, like John Jones and Sugar Rashad Evans. And there was a few examples said. And the answer that he came out with was a beautiful answer. He said, no, he said, we are Muslim brothers and we come into this together. He said, we are friends. And he was absolutely right. He said a lot of times in those examples that he said, like John Jones and Rashad, when they were training with one another, because they're both going to get something out of that relationship. You know what I mean? He said, but it's not like that with me and Khabib. I'm not looking to take anything from him. He's not looking to take anything from me. We're not trying to take anything from each other. We're just trying to help one another because, he went back to his faith. Obviously, he's about Muslim. We are Muslim brothers. And I just thought it was a very, very, number one, highly intelligent, a very thoughtful response. So he is a captivating character in many different ways. But Charles, obviously, with the finishes and all the rest of it, that man rolls deep. Have you seen the fucking crew?
Yeah, he might be the only one that's running deeper than Islam too, because those guys usually show up pretty deep as well, with a whole shit ton of Russians. But he's got to have like 20, 25 guys with him everywhere he goes.
Apparently, it's almost 100 people.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's almost 100 people that have been flying in every day. Because the BT Sport lads were telling me, they said it's mental. It's fucking insane. Maybe they're like, shit, we need backup. We're going into Abu Dhabi. It's Khabib's hometown. It's not his hometown, but you know what I mean? It's like, right. Let's bring the crew. It's something else.
I wonder who's paying for all that.
I thought the same thing. Because Charles's brother flew in. I was having my morning coffee today, a little croissants. I was dieting like fuck for the movie, and then towards the end I've just been like, fuck this. The croissants for you fucking plebs are fucking amazing. They're fucking amazing. I've got used to dipping that chocolate fucking croissant in the coffee. Anyway, I'm doing that this morning, and I'm watching this video, and it was Charles's birthday, I think, and they're all dancing, they're doing capoeira and break dancing. It was fucking awesome, and I just thought, wow, what a great vibe and atmosphere to be going into a camp and having all those people around you. Maybe it's a bit of a distraction, but I thought, who's paying for all these flights? Because he comes from the favelas.
Yeah,
and Charles is earning good money, but I hope he ain't blowing it all on flights to Abu Dhabi.
But I know that's kind of, I don't know. You can tell he's the leader, you know, as he's walking around. Like because in my crew, when I roll deep somewhere, I got like 10 friends, maybe like 5 real close ones. But like, there's not like a clear leader in that group. It's like there's just 5 buddies or 5 or 6 friends, and we just kind of roll around together, fight week or whatever, and they sit around while I cut weight and train and whatever. But I'm not like walking, like everywhere Charles goes, he walks ahead of them, and it's like the group piles behind him. It's kind of weird to me. Like he's the leader. I'm like in my crew, I'm not the leader. Like there isn't really a leader. We just kind of hang out.
Yeah, it was fitting into that Abu Dhabi lifestyle well, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
The leader goes
like what
at
else?
the front.
Like when he drives the Ferrari, what does everyone else drive? Like he
Was
pulled
he
up
in a
to
Ferrari? Because I saw him in a yellow car. Was it a Ferrari?
Yeah, he pulled up to his media day in a Ferrari. But then like all of the rest of the guys like kind of filed in. Like you got a goddamn van full of dudes just following you around while you drive a Ferrari. That's some Conor McGregor shit.
Yeah, but hey, listen, he's earned it. He's the champ. And do you know what I love about Charles as well? And you got to think the UFC love this as well. He said, didn't he? He said what he wants to do is, because obviously we've got Volkanovski, who's the guaranteed backup. I don't think he's going to be required. So many fucking talking points. We haven't done a show in a couple of weeks. But he said after this, he'll go down. What was it? He'll fight Volkanovski at 145.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said 2 fights. Remind me. Do you know what they were, Harrington?
All right.
Yeah, so he said that he would be willing to fight. At first, he said, "I'll fight Volkanovski I'll win this Islam fight. I'll fight Volkanovski in Brazil in January, and then I'll fight him for the 145-pound title in November."
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that was it.
Then he changed his tune and he said, "You know what? Better yet, I'll just skip that 155 fight. I'll go down to 145 and fight you for your belt in Perth, Australia, in February."
Yeah, and it's just a gangster attitude.
That's a gangster ass move.
Yeah, but he did get beat a lot at 145, and there's a reason. It's the weight cut. Right, we've chatted about it. We've got lots of fights to get to. Give me the Anthony Smith breakdown.
For the Oliveira.
The main event, breakdown, and then top it off with a prediction.
Well, okay, for the prediction, I'll give you the prediction first, and I'm gonna choose Oliveira. And I've been sticking with that because initially I just said, I'm fucking done doubting him. He always makes me look stupid. Every time I think I got it figured out, he comes out with something different. But I've just always been of the belief that someone with the type of jiu-jitsu that Charles has and the type of attacks that he has give high-level wrestlers and positional guys lots of problems because he never really settles in a position. He's not a guy that needs to fight out of the guard, or that needs to be on top, or that needs to be in half guard. He just creates. He's a opportunistic grappler. He's a transitional guy. He catches people in the gray area. And wrestlers typically hang out in the gray area a lot because that's where they're the most comfortable. If you're a dominant wrestler, you don't typically want to hang out in half guard or inside the guard because it's tougher there. So I think I'm just gonna come out. I'm gonna say it. I think when it comes to the grappling, I think Charles Oliveira is gonna be, one, the most dangerous guy, and 2, I think he's going to create enough scrambles and position changes to either get back to his feet or start attacking submissions, and Islam's going to be forced to be defensive. And I think he's going to have to end up pulling out, which is going to give the space to Charles to get back to his feet. In terms of striking, I think Charles is the more dangerous guy. I think he's the better striker. He obviously has. I mean, he put a guy like Gaethje down with one shot. I mean, Gaethje's been in absolute wars and battles and taking huge shots before.
And allow me to piggyback on that point, not interrupting before you little fucks start in the comments. He said a point, and I want to piggyback on that so I don't have to address it and bring it back to you. It's called keeping the conversation fucking flowing. You're right, he dropped Gaethje, and that was, and he hurt him within literal seconds of the fight. He went at him straight away. He stalked him, was super aggressive, throwing that right. He's got power in the right and the left, and he sat him down a few times. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, so he hurt Chandler the same way, and we've seen Chandler take. People have talked badly about Chandler's chin a little bit, but he stood right there in front of Gaethje and took huge shots at Madison Square Garden, and didn't waver after the kind of. He got hurt early, but after that didn't really waver too much. So I think that the way that Islam has to fight, he's got to get close. Islam is not and Khabib is the same way. They're not doubles and singles. That's not really how they shoot. It's not how they wrestle. They want to push you up against the fence, fight in the clinch, and then drag you down. A lot of foot sweeps, a lot of trips. That's where Charles wants to be anyways, because he can't fucking wrestle. So he's not that type of a grappler. He's not shooting doubles and singles. So anywhere he takes anybody down is in the clinch. He's sneaking to people's back. What he spent 4 minutes on Poirier's back, and it all started from that clinch where he's fighting his way in the inside with hooks and uppercuts, nasty long knees, and then he's so devastating with elbows and knees in the clinch because he doesn't give a shit about being taken down. So I just think he's where he's strong. I think is like Charles has lots of ways to win this fight. He can win it by knockout. I think he could win a decision just positionally getting dominant positions, like sneaking on the back or whatever, knockout, decision, and submission. I think Islam's only really got one way to win, and that's get on top, be dominant, positionally be in the right spot at all the time, because he's not going to submit Charles. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't see him submitting him, and I agree with everything you're saying. I'm not going to disagree with it. Because a guy like Oliveira, and I'm sure you've rolled. Have you ever rolled? And it's generally a Brazilian. I used to train with a couple of them back in the day. There was one guy called Luquinha. That was his nickname. And oh my God, you know what I mean? Listen, I've got pretty decent jiu-jitsu. I know you have, but sometimes you roll with somebody that they're so athletic and they're so fast and they're so agile and they're so aggressive, and just wherever you put them, they fucking are coming after you. And it's like, holy shit, it's fucking terrifying being on the mat with that motherfucker. And that's obviously what Charles is like, right? And Islam is going to try and take him down. He'll probably get success in taking him down because Charles doesn't care. That's why he doesn't have the best takedown defense, because he's not that bothered. He's not freaking out over that. Islam's going to try and get a good position. He's going to try, I would assume, maybe get an anchor with the half guard, get the underhook with the right arm, sit down in the half guard, try and pummel away. If he gets a win, I think it'll be a ground and pound stoppage. I think that's his idea. I think that's the game plan. He wants to get a dominant position, maybe get a crucifix, whatever, and just pound away. But Charles isn't going to stop, as you say, in the clinch. Incredibly dangerous with the punches. Sorry, the knees and the elbows. In the wide open, I think Charles has an advantage there. The level of experience and competition, yeah, I mean, that all goes to Charles. Can he keep up that pace, though? Can he keep going for 5 rounds? And I hate to sound like a broken record, because I always talk about cardio and conditioning, but it is a crucial factor. And for Charles to have that dynamic, and you got, we've seen he's finishing people because he's emptying the tank, he's emptying the tank and he's going forward and he's being aggressive. He's even calling a first round knockout, which, believe it or not, I wouldn't be overly surprised from the way that he fights these days. As I said in the Gagey fight, as soon as the referee said fight, he was in his face and he was swinging bombs and he was doing fucking damage. All of that, and then the submissions and all the finishes that he has, the last 11 times he stepped foot in the octagon, he's finished 10 of them. That just drills home in your mind. I can finish any motherfucker on this planet. And he's right. But is Islam good enough, strong enough, savvy enough to not get finished? And if he continues that kind of offense for 5 rounds, is he going to wane? Is he going to get tired? I'm not saying he will. These are just questions that I bring up.
I'm really glad you brought that part of it up, because I guess that's the one piece I left out. The biggest advantage I think that Islam has is his conditioning, because there's no way he's going to get tired. And he can be in those gritty, high-paced, high-action grappling exchanges, back to his feet, back on the ground, up and down. He can do that as long as you need him to. Charles cannot. And that's just, I'm not saying Carl's cardio is trash, but the way that he fights, at the pace he fights at, we've seen Charles in second rounds tired. And that's like, we've seen it. And
imagine him in 4 or 5. And I'm not saying he's coming underprepared. I don't think either of us.
And maybe he changes that and paces himself a little bit better. I don't know. But 4 and 5 are going to be tough if you're tired of 2. And so if he doesn't manage that,
he's going to be dominant early and fade in last place. In this whole world you want to be when you're tired is in the octagon with anybody, let alone Islam.
Islam Makhachev.
Yeah.
I think Islam's he's going to have some success. He's going to take him down.
I think it's going to be close. It's going to be
yeah. He's bigger. He's stronger. I think Charles has the advantages on the ground in terms of jiu-jitsu and threats. Islam's got the positional and the ground and pound. Well, not even the ground and pound. Positional strength. You know, and I think, and one thing that I didn't see, and obviously I haven't been in camp, I'm only going off the footage that I saw this week, and to be fair, this is kind of a non-existent point, but I'm going to finish my thought. I saw Charles training a lot of jiu-jitsu attack, of course, you know, he's doing open work. Nobody wants to see him drilling, getting back to his fucking thing. It's not very exciting, but I hope in his training camp there has been a lot of that. You know, because that's going to be such a crucial factor. But you're saying Charles. I picked Charles. I'm not confident in that pick. You know.
I'm not really either. Because I could give you equal as many points.
Yeah.
On the opposite, and maybe not equal, but I can be as as detailed on the other side of exactly how Islam can cruise to a win. If that's what he wants to do. It really, there's a couple things I think early that are going to make a difference. How hard is the takedown going to be? How quickly can Charles, how quickly can he dominate the range on his feet is going to make a big difference. Islam's going to have a tough time taking him down if Charles walks him down successfully like he did Gaethje. Gaethje is super dangerous if you let him come forward. Not as dangerous if he's backing up. So I think that makes a difference.
So I think, and both of us are kind of on the same page. I think Oliveira, if he gets the job done, he gets the stoppage kind of early, and if Islam wins, it's going to be towards the end of the fight or even a decision. One last question on that fight, then we'll talk about the co-main, because it's a very interesting fight, and fucking the entire fight, excuse me, is amazing. People say that the knock on Islam. There's even some people out there saying he doesn't deserve a title fight, which is just fucking crazy. Because they're saying the last few wins, Dan Hooker, Bobby Green, people like that aren't as impressive. And therefore, Charles, he hasn't fought somebody of the caliber of Charles Oliveira, and he's in for a beating again. I've seen that kind of theory floating around. I did a prediction and all the comments on the YouTube video, people saying shit like that. I think that's crazy. I think, yes, okay, certainly, you know, there's a step up from a Bobby Green or even a Dan Hooker with respect to them both. They're great fighters. You know, you're not talking your Gages, your Poiriers, and all the others. But the way that he beat them was so fucking clinical and so fucking perfect, and they're tough guys to do that too. What do you say to any people that are, you know, putting that theory out there?
I'm going to preface this with I don't actually know, but I'm going to ask another. I'm going to answer your question with a question.
Ooh, politician now, are you answering?
I am. Everyone's saying, well, he hasn't fought Poirier, he hasn't fought Chan, he hasn't fought Gaethje, he hasn't fought all these other guys. Why is that? Because it's not because he didn't want to. It's not because he hasn't asked for it. There's a reason he hasn't gotten his top fights. I'm not going to call those guys out because they don't actually know. But if I had to bet a large amount of money, I would bet that those guys didn't take those opportunities. And there's a good reason for it, because at the time, early, until just recently, he hasn't had a huge name.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of reward. There was a whole lot of risk, and everybody knew. Watching him just absolutely dust a guy like Drew Dober. Like, to say what you want about Dober in his career, he's tough, and he's made it tough on every single person he's ever fought. He's never been dominated that way. He dominated Bobby Green. He dominated Dan Hooker. Those guys at the top don't want to fuck with that.
Bobby Green was on a streak. And Bobby Green's a tough, gritty motherfucker. That guy can wrestle as well. There ain't no fear in that guy. And Islam fucking just
smoked him.
It was like he executed him. Do you know what I mean? It was
Bobby Green's a G. And
Bobby Green's a fucking G.
And listening to him talk about Islam afterwards, he wasn't even mad. He wasn't even mad. He was almost confused.
He was dumbfounded. He was dumbfounded. It was like,
he couldn't believe it.
Couldn't do anything. And he was even saying, you know, I forget the exact quote, but I couldn't do anything. I've never experienced that in my life. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And Bobby Green's a G. He's a fucking G, and he was on a good win streak at the time as well. Just came off that ridiculous win over Ally Quinto. Fucking amazing performance. All right, let's just take a second to talk about CHOQ, C-H-O-Q. Here's the reality. Men's testosterone levels are at an all-time low, and not a day goes by that I don't see a guy who has a bad diet earlier on in their life or low levels of testosterone naturally that could, listen, use a little boost to their training. If you're feeling fatigued, if your libido is wanting, if you're not getting the results, okay, it's probably because you've got some low testosterone. So listen, there's lots of supplements you can take out there, right? But the supplement industry is filled with weak, trashy, dirty supplements. And the guys at CHOQ are proud to stand above the rest in clean, pure, and healthy products. CHOQ uses full disclosure labeling. They tell you the exact amount of each ingredient and never use proprietary blends. No label fluffing or underdosing. All ingredients are measured to exact clinical research. CHOQ Daily is the cleanest research-based testosterone booster available that you can get right now. And along with CHOQ Daily, be sure to check out the Male Vitality Stack, STAQ, and the Stack Ultra, okay? Listen, give yourself that little boost. You'll have more energy. You'll be in better shape. You'll feel stronger. Your libido will be taken care of. Shit, man, your teeth will get whiter, to quote Brendan Schaub one time. But still, listen, for a man, it's a vital part of your makeup. And there's no shame in admitting that maybe your testosterone levels are dipping. Try CHOQ, okay? Go to the website, which is choq.com, choq.com. And when you're there, use the promo code BISPING because you're going to get a massive 35% off your order. So they want you to start with a bang, okay? choq.com. Make sure you use the code BISPING, 35% off. Yeah, there it is. Anyway, all right, moving on. TJ Dillashaw, Aljamain Sterling, right? Let's get right into this. TJ, suspended for 2 years, did the crime, did the time, came back for Sandhagen. Questionable decision. I thought Sandhagen, whatever. It was fucking close, right? I'm not gonna disparage TJ's win there. It was a very, very close fight. Could have gone either way. But then he tore his ACL off again. In the meantime, Aljamain Sterling goes out, becomes the champion of the world, albeit through somewhat murky circumstances with the knee to the head. Legitimate, call him an actor, whatever you want to do. He became the champ. Got a lot of shit. They get the rematch. He stays the champ. He beats Petr Yan. I think, and this is a conclusion I came to today, because I initially had TJ Dillashaw winning this fight. But I've done a U-turn. I was watching Aljamain today. I think, and you tell me about your experience here with all the haters and the people online and the people that talk shit, because I know throughout my career, being wrote off, everybody just writing me off saying I wasn't good enough, wasn't strong enough, wasn't technical enough, and all, I didn't hit hard enough and all this type of stuff. That fueled me more than ever. And that fucking drove me. I'm like, I will fucking prove you all wrong. And I think for Sterling, when he got all that abuse, and by the way, look at what he did. He went out there and destroyed Corey Sandhagen in like 90 seconds or something. Maybe not that quick, but, made short work of it. He's a talented fighter, but then he wins it through dubious circumstances, the championship. And then everyone talks shit, right? He rises to that. He does a U-turn, becomes the heel, starts talking shit. But I think the whole time he's been working his fucking ass off because nobody wants to become the champ and then get beaten by that guy again. And everyone goes, look at that. See, he could never beat that guy. He's a joke. Aljamain Sterling's a joke. I think that created a monster. Because Aljamain Sterling had a very, very legitimate win over Petr Yan. And I'm fucking picking him to beat TJ Dillashaw.
So am I. And
really?
I think it's contingent on a couple things. He's got to be able to attack wrestling. He's got to be able to, but he's got a chip on his shoulder. He gets real angry about this Division III wrestler versus Division I wrestler thing. It really bothers him. That people say things like, well, he was just a Division III guy. He's not going to be able to take down these Division I guys. I mean, he absolutely will. And he can, and I think he will. TJ did an interview. I think it was with Brett Okamoto, and he said that he thinks that Aljo fights the way that he does because he's afraid, that he's terrified on his feet. He doesn't want to engage. And That's why he grapples and gets to the back so that people can't hit him there and they can't get up. That gave me a little bit of a tell, just a little bit. Like TJ's worried about that Aljo's not gonna put himself in a position to fight TJ's type of fight. And TJ is fantastic on his feet. He's his diversity in his attacks is I used to be in just awe of that guy. Just watching him compete. I've watched him train before.
He's so slick.
It's just so impressive to watch. But
yeah.
Aljo's not going to play that game with him because he can't. If Aljo gets hung out to dry and can't take TJ down and is kind of stuck on his feet, he's going to have a tough time. But I think that Aljo has the ability to take anybody down, and I think TJ is going to panic to his feet because he doesn't want to hang out and play. Aljo will pull guard. He doesn't give a fuck. Like if you can't get him down, a pull guard, work a sweep. I just think Aljo's jiu-jitsu is significantly better than Dillashaw's. And if he gets TJ down, he's gonna take his back. 100.
Yeah.
I will guarantee it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't disagree with that at all. I think TJ's slicker on the feet by far. You know, TJ is,
I don't even think
as
it's
you
close.
said, it's not even close. The guy is very impressive. He's very athletic,
magical.
agile.
Magical on his
He glides all over the octagon. He switches stances so smoothly, puts together awesome combinations. You know, he's very confident in what he does. He's slick. He's fast. He's powerful. He can wrestle. He transitions from the striking to the wrestling beautifully. He has high-level jiu-jitsu on the ground as well. But this is a tough, grinding sport, right?
Mm-hmm.
And TJ has had the time away from the octagon. He's 37 years old now. You know, he's 30 fucking 7. He's getting on. He's getting on. And this isn't an insult. It's just facts. And as at 135, there's only 125 that's lighter. They rely on speed, reflexes. Harrington, just look up how old Aljamain is. I think it's like 32 or something. I'm not sure. But age is a factor. Time away from the octagon is a factor.
Well, he looked different in that Sandhagen fight.
He did, and now
he looked older.
It's one fight. He did look older. That's a good way of putting it. That's what I'm trying to say. He had one fight, tears his ACL. Aljo's 33. So all right, only 4 years. Dillashaw's 36. Not according to my sources, but whatever. We'll go with 37. It makes my point better. Yeah, it's a tough, grinding sport, you know, and you only have so much to give. And those lighter guys need the speed, the reflexes, and whatnot. I think Aljamain is going to grind out a win. I do.
I totally agree. I think it'll be ugly. He can't let TJ be pretty. If TJ gets to be on the outside and switches stances and, you know, his stolen upgraded version of Dominic Cruz, and you know, and Aljo gets in, what does that look for?
The fucking bang Muay Thai bullshit.
What was? Listen, we can fucking
fuck off. We're not here to talk shit about bang Muay Thai.
I'm not talking shit about bang Muay Thai.
I'd like to.
I'm not talking shit about it.
I'm not talking shit either.
I don't think Dominic Cruz gets enough credit for inspiring TJ Dillashaw's style.
No, I won't allow that. I won't allow that. Listen, because it gets said about Cruz all the time, about the footwork drills. Footwork has existed for centuries in boxing. Do you know what I mean? Like, Jason Perillo gets so annoyed by that shit. He's like, what are they talking about? That shit has happened in boxing for fucking years. Dominic's got amazing footwork. TJ's got amazing footwork. He's probably inspired by Dominic. You know what I mean? But there's fucking, look at Willie Pep. There's fucking tons of boxers that have been out there doing that shit for years. You can't put it on Dominic Cruz for inventing this style.
I didn't say he invented it. I'm saying I think Dillashaw was inspired and stole a lot of his stuff from Dominic.
Yeah,
so he talks so much shit about him, but like, come on, bro. Like your style looks very much like his.
Yeah, no. Shout out Dominic Cruz, by the way. I hope you're well, buddy. Do you know what we used to call Dillashaw on The Ultimate Fighter when we coached him?
Huh?
Dilladong.
Why?
Because he's got a rather large penis. Shout out there. Do you know what I mean? Dilladong.
Shout out to Dillashaw's dick.
Yeah. There you go. We're not here to hate on anyone. Do you know what I mean?
No, not at all.
Given the analysis, but we'll
I think Aljamain Sterling wins the fight. I think TJ Dillashaw's got a bigger penis.
I predict these things.
Yeah, hi guys, ESPN analyst here. Yeah, I just want to say, this is a really interesting, intriguing matchup. On one side you've got this young, hungry champion with a chip on his shoulder. On the other side, we've got the grizzled veteran who's been around for a long time, looking to become a champion. And the situation really comes down to, for me, the grinding aspect. And I do believe that Aljamain Sterling will remain and still, but sadly, at the end of the day, TJ Dillashaw will always have a bigger dick, and this is just the facts, and we know this, guys.
And that's why he can't make 125. That's
exactly. That's why he got knocked out of Cejudo. Do you know what I mean? You get
dragging that dick around all day. It's got to make you tired.
Make weight. He was jerking off like fucking crazy, trying to empty his balls out. Oh God, I love it when we fucking talk like this. This is way better. Oh dear. Brady Fink on The Ultimate Fighter. That was the guy I brought in, my jiu-jitsu coach. He's like, he loves a bit of dick talk. I don't know why. Do you have some friends that are like that just talk about penises?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a wrestling thing because
everything's kind of a dick joke.
Yeah, Callum's inherited this. He's come back from San Francisco, and it's just he says you want to see what goes on in the house where we live. It's just a lot of dicks. I'm like, son. yeah. I said, well, you're being a dick. Shut up. Your mum doesn't want to hear this because he's not shy either. He talks about it in front of his mother.
No.
But Brady was like, man, have you seen the size of the cock on this guy? It's fucking amazing. So anyway, there you go. Shout out Dilladong. TJ Dillashaw's penis. That was funny what you said.
I'm fucking crying.
Aljamain wins the fight, but TJ will always have the bigger dick. Oh God. Should we do a non-MMA story before we get to the rest of the card real quick? How much time you got, Anthony? I know you're jumping on a plane, surely.
I got a little bit. I'm good for a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. We're not committing to the show. Okay. I've got to pack and fly home. Anthony's going to go to ESPN. He's going to fly up to Connecticut, so he's going to fly to catch soon. Harrington, give us this. What's James Corden been doing?
James Corden has been getting 86 and then un-86 from the popular New York celebrity hangout spot Balthazar. Apparently, he was very rude to his waitstaff.
Hold on. Internationally, people will not know what 86 means. Okay. So basically, he got banned. He got thrown out. Because I didn't know that. I remember I was in a club in Vegas, and I think people said, "Wow, Jason Miller just got 86th." I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Jason Miller just got 86th." I'm like, "What the fuck do you mean 86th?" He's been thrown out and banned.
It's a restaurant term that means out of. Usually it's applied to the menu. It's like the back of the house term. But more recently, it's been applied to people when they fuck up.
I see. Well, thank you, Brian, for the history on that. Yeah, and I was like, what are you talking about? Oh, he's been thrown out. He's been banned. He can't come back. I'm like, well, why don't you just fucking say that? We said 86. He's been banned. He's been thrown out. Anyway, go on. Yeah, get the fuck out of here, bro.
Yeah, these restaurateurs, they don't know the time. It's just quick lingo. So he was very rude to waiters on two different occasions. Once when, he had an omelet being made it was an omelet being made for his wife. It was not up to his specifications and just lost it. Flipped out on the waitstaff. The manager ended up coming over and settling things. He was very pleasant to the manager, but was still very, very rude to the waiter. And then there was another time where there was an alleged hair found in a food, and he demanded that not only should a free round of drinks be brought immediately, but all of his drinks should be covered for the night, and he demanded an apology from the waiter and waitress. So now other people are piling on, including one story that I read where James Corden was in first class. He was sitting down. They put a baby next to him that started crying. He threw on his noise-canceling headphones, turned over away from the baby, and went to sleep, right? Didn't freak out or anything. As the plane is landing, the woman who, is in charge of the baby, the mother of the baby, is having a hard time getting, the bins, the bags down from the bins, right? As this is happening, she turns around to Corden and at one point just screams, "For F's sake, can you at least hold the baby while I'm dealing with the bags?" Turns out the baby was his and the woman was his wife.
Oh, no.
So, you know who James Corden is, just double checking.
Do what?
You know who James Corden is, right?
No.
Yeah,
I just don't use the
I'm
point.
not. While we're talking about this,
It's
I bet Anthony doesn't.
No,
even
I don't.
fucking
It
know.
just sounds like an important famous guy that's an asshole.
Yeah, but that's why I love you, because you know what I mean. You're like, I
Yeah.
don't fucking.
I don't
this
know, but I
trivial
want to hear the
nonsense.
story.
Carpool karaoke.
That's exactly who I thought it was.
Yeah,
like I wasn't sure, but that's who I thought it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. Just double checking
Yeah.
that. So I read
the
the
nerdy
story.
fat guy.
Yeah. English dude does the what is it? The Late Show with James Corden, whatever. And so I guess this is kind of shocking, but interesting because he seems like the loveliest guy on planet Earth, doesn't he? That's his whole shtick. He's nice. He's lovely. He's a great actor. He's a comedian. He's a lovely talk show host. He's just so caring and lovely and sweet. But then you hear these stories of him acting like a dickhead. Now the aeroplane thing one, again, I'm not saying you're lying, Harrington, but sometimes in the comments I do see people saying you need to get Harrington to check his bullshit because these stories are fucking nonsense. I read the story that this guy clicked. Now, first of all, let's just say this: you do find out what someone's really like, how they treat people like waiters. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. If someone's a dickhead, you can treat them like a dickhead. Do you know what I mean? If they're rude, they're obnoxious, whatever, then you treat people. That's kind of you reap what you sow. If you're gonna treat me like an asshole, then you might find I'd be a bit of an asshole back to you as well. But if they're just doing their job and being nice and polite and whatnot, and you treat them like an asshole because you think that they're just a lowly waiter, then that says a lot about you. It says that you're a piece of fucking shit. But what was I going to say? Yeah, this guy that owns this restaurant, Balthazar, I've never heard of it. Apparently some celebrity hotspot. He's now unbanned him. He did a post about it on social media, but now he's done a post saying, you can come back. Do you know what I mean? So sounds like this guy's out of his fucking mind. Because who does that? If you're running apparently a celebrity hotspot in New York City, and you're outing celebrity clients on Instagram, do you know what I mean? Other celebrities aren't going to want to continue going there. There's just something weird about it. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a good point too. That other, I don't know, people in power, celebrities, people in the public eye, they go to those places because it's comfortable.
Discretion.
Yeah, like it's quiet and you're not going to be messed with. And yeah, I have not that I'm some crazy famous guy, but I have places like in Vegas. I have places here in Omaha that I go that I know I'm not going to be bothered, that it's quiet, I don't get fucked with. And like, is it more expensive? For sure, but I'm paying for the privacy, not so much the actual food. So like, if one of those places started outing people on Instagram about how big of an asshole they were, not that I'm an asshole to wait staff at all, but like, I don't even want people to know I'm there, let alone outed about how people are acting there.
That's crazy. Right? If that story, what Harrington said about the mother and the bags and the holding the baby and shit.
That's a dickhead move.
Yeah, we don't know if that's true. I'm sorry, Harrington. We don't know if that's true.
I understand. It's just, when stuff like this comes out, people do tend to pile on with stories. This was reportedly from a stewardess who was on the flight, but like you said, there's no way of fact checking this.
Yeah. I mean, because you've got to be a special type of asshole to see your wife struggling to get the bags whilst holding the baby, and you're just standing there. I mean, he's out of shape, but he's not that out of shape. He can fucking help with the bags. Do you know what I mean? I don't believe that. I have a hard time buying that a man would do that. What do you think?
I mean, is he that big of an asshole? I don't know. He could be. But even if he was,
but that's gigantic.
Yeah, but even if he was that big of an asshole,
TJ's big.
Can you imagine the shitstorm you would get from her when you got home? Fuck what everyone else thinks about it. Like that, no way. I would. Yeah. When it comes to flying and traveling, I'll do whatever my wife needs because I don't need her.
Bless you.
Holy hell. Yeah. I don't need her all
as well.
I don't need her all mad and angry and screaming when we get home. It's not. No way. Whatever you.
It depends on the balance of power, though, as well, doesn't it? Because James Corden is a very, very famous man. Even you had an idea, an inkling of who he was, and you have.
Yeah.
No.
Well, so are you, Michael Bisping.
Oh.
Who's got the power in your house?
Not me. But and I'm not a famous guy at all. But James Corden's a very, very famous man, right? Probably all over the world, but certainly in the UK and America. And you never know. Maybe it's like, listen, I'm James Corden. I earn the money. I do all this. But even still, I have a hard time saying that someone is going to do that. I don't buy that. And people talk a lot of shit online. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm not defending him, but I'm just not willing to go there. But let me ask you this: if there was a hair in your food, Anthony, if you ordered an omelette and there was a hair in your omelette, what would the approach be?
Honestly, I should lie. I should lie, and not tell the truth. But I'd pick it out and eat the fucking food. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I've done it many times.
I don't give a fuck.
I've sat there with my wife. Rebecca's like, "Oh my god, there's a hair," and I'm like, "Let's have a look." And it's
little, yeah,
a little tiny hair. It happens.
You know how many times I have other people's hair in my mouth from like jujitsu and training and all the time. One of my main training partners,
mouthful
Jordan,
of pubes on a regular basis.
Yeah, all the time. Jordan, one of my main training partners, has got long hair, like to the middle of his back. That motherfucker, it's beautiful too. But I'll come home and I'll look like it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But I'll come home and I'm picking his fucking hair out of my mouth. It's everywhere. I don't give a shit. One time, I had this fight in Strikeforce once, and we went down the street after weigh-ins to like it was like a Subway. No, it was like a Blimpies, like a sub sandwich place. And I was so hungry, and I
haven't eaten yet.
I was halfway into it, and my wife, she was like, "Wait, stop, don't move," and she like grabbed a hair like it was in my mouth, and it was like a long female hair. It was like down my throat. It's
the feeling as well when you pull it out and it's like coming out of your mouth, and it's like
that one was bad, but I was so hungry I ate that shit anyways.
I'm starving right now.
Not gonna kill you.
I could eat a scabby donkey. I haven't eaten fucking anything yet, right?
A what?
A scabby donkey.
That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, I'm starving. You're the one saying that you're pulling out pubescent hairs and just saying, no, I don't give a shit.
That is a Britishism for sure.
Oh, no, it is. Yeah, I've got a mouth like Gandhi's flip-flop, and I can eat a scabby donkey. But, oh, God, I'm fucking starving. I haven't eaten my little croissant, but that's not going to do it. Yeah, who cares? As long as if there's a hair in the food, if it's not a regular thing, shit happens, accidents happen. I won't hold it against them. But anyway, who gives a fuck? What are we talking about?
Eat that shit. Be a man.
Right, what's the rest of the fight card? Harrington, just throw them at us. Quick fire. You've got to go. I've got to go. I could eat a scabby donkey. We've got probably a question to get to. I can't focus now because I'm so hungry. I've got to pack. I've got to get to the airport. You've got to get to the airport as well. Anthony Smith. Yeah. Don't know why I'm talking like this now, but Harrington, what have you got for us? Yeah.
Piotr Jan versus Sean O'Malley.
Oh, how the fuck did I forget about that?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I was getting nervous that I was hoping we were going to talk about the undercard at all, because other than Bilal Muhammad versus Sean Brady, I don't think I can
cannot talk about this undercard, yeah, because it's too many fights and you'll have places to be.
I can't even say them. There's probably not one fighter's name on the undercard I could say.
Right, hold on a minute. I'm going to bring it up.
Take a peek at it.
I'm peeking.
It's Bruce Buffer's earning his goddamn money this weekend.
Bilal Muhammad versus Sean Brady. Mahmoud Muradov versus Chao Bohayo. Nikita Krylov versus Volkan Uzdemir.
Oh, I can say that one.
Chukagov taking on Lucas Almeida. Abubakar Nurmagomedov taking on Omar Gadziev. Arman Petrosyan versus AJ Dobson. Mohamed Makai versus Malcolm Gordon. And Karol Rosa taking on Lena Landsberg.
Okay, we're showing up. Lena Landsberg, I like her.
Bro. What one was giving you problem? Was it perhaps the Omar Gadziev?
Yeah, that one. There's that one. Yeah, I'm gonna. There's a few for sure.
The horse bandits are hardly pushovers.